All right.
And we are live.
We are live.
Gonna go ahead and wait for Joe for a sec. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. I was waiting for one other person, but we got the original cast back from the last show, so we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving. So here we go again. I am your brother Mordeeb, and this is Brainwashed on Heavy, and I am so excited about the show because I've been anticipating this final chapter to the urban spiritual journey, and I got my original team back, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the saga with this particular degree of information that we brought to the table the last time. How's everybody doing?
Good. Great.
Everybody's good.
Blessed. Blessed.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We're gonna wait for Joe to get back. We'd like to welcome Chico back to the panel. My man Chico.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt, no doubt. Tosh is back. Tosh is back. We got DPU back in the house. My man, he's becoming a regular.
Yeah.
He's like furniture around here now.
Yeah.
And of course, we got the Goddess Eyes Brown back again. And I'm gonna tell you, you got some fans, Kim. You got some fans.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
You got some fans.
I'm one of them.
Hey, they down in the country too.
Ooh.
They are.
I'm so serious. People down, South Georgia. I got some folks who watch, and they've been asking about you. So
My root Georgia, Rochelle, Georgia, Pineview, Georgia, Macon, Georgia.
that's what's
Oh,
up.
Macon.
Yeah, they down near Savannah, South Carolina.
Savannah, South Carolina, Johns Island, St.
Yep.
Helena Island.
So yeah, you got some fans.
Peachy.
Dave got fans too. Of course, Joe, JB, she got fans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we all got fans.
It
We all got
amazes me
fans.
every time you say it, it amazes me. Like, what? Really?
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Now I'm gonna tell you, Dave, your fans, the older chicks, they be like, "Yo, when he coming back?" Yeah.
Oh
They be
boy.
like, when he coming back?
All
Nah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here.
So on that note, let's go ahead and get this thing started. And we got a live one tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll intro, and see y'all on the other side. And we are back. We are back. Yeah. Oh, there she go.
Yeah,
Still with Jay at. All right, so let's jump right into this thing. The last time we met up, it was actually part one of the urban spiritual journey, and we had a really good show. And that show, just shed light on the fact that you have a lot of people in urban cities, and we consider like urban folk who grew up in the city who let it be told that we have had a journey spiritually that is not talked about too often. um People speak of spiritual things and from more of a religious perspective, but at the same time there's a lot of things that have went on, things that go on, and things that people experience that we those untold stories that are great stories. But at the same time, I wanted to bring a voice to those individuals who can share their journey from an urban perspective about how they have evolved spiritually throughout their particular incarnation in this life. And it was a really great discussion, and a lot of people resonated with the fact that they have experienced some of the things that we talked about, but they really don't have anybody personally that they can share those things with. So they kind of keep them to themselves. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do with this particular segment, is to highlight those things and have people who were able to resonate with them, and then feel comfortable with opening up Pandora's box when it came to that. So on that note, my first question, and this is something that I wanted to ask you guys the first time, but I'm gonna ask it now. Personally, what was the hardest part? The hardest part about cultivating a relationship with spirit. I'm gonna say spirit. People could say God, whatever you want to use the interface with, that's fine. But I want to know, what was the hardest part throughout your journey, you building that relationship as you went on that journey? Like, what was the hardest part of that? Whatever it may be, whatever it is, it's your story. But what was the hardest part cultivating that and becoming comfortable with it to say, you know what, this is my lane and I'm comfortable in it. But before we can get there, it's kind of like a rough ride. I know it was for me. Anybody want to go first?
I'll go first. Two things though. That's a two-part answer. First of all, it was battling growing up like Christian Baptist.
Right.
Battling the things that's been ingrained in you from going to church.
Right.
Because in order to really find yourself, in order to really start that journey, you kind of have to ignore and erase a lot of things that you were not really taught, but like a lot of stuff that was forced on you, right? A lot of the questions that you have concerning Christianity, and at least for me, a lot of the elders won't answer those questions, so you kind of have to start over, and it was kind of alienating. So the second part to that answer is it's lonely. It's lonely,
Right.
especially for me, because I started that journey so early when it wasn't really cool. Like I should have been doing so many other things.
Right.
But 17, 18, 19, I started my spiritual journey. So it's lonely. It's not cool. It wasn't the end thing to do. So you have to really be comfortable with yourself at some point, knowing that, okay, these are the things that I want to know about, and I want to be this kind of person. But I will say, having said that, some things, when you start to learn, knowledge, once knowledge sets in, you can't unlearn it.
Right.
And once your eyes are open, you see the whole world completely different. It's like you ever hear the term like rose-colored glasses? Like It's almost like you put 3D glasses on and you see the world from a whole different perspective. And at that point, it doesn't really matter. That loneliness is you become kind of like a hermit. And I kind of tuned in and went inward with that loneliness, and that helped me to become that helped me on my spiritual journey. So what started out, that loneliness was like detrimental. It was like I didn't like it. I was alienating myself from my peers because of this journey. But you learn when you get older that that's something that you have to do. That's part of your journey, is being alone.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. It's funny you say that, because
Mm.
One of the things my teacher used to always tell us, one of the precepts as you being an aspirant on the spiritual path, was the spiritual journey is one and alone. He used to always say that. I was telling somebody recently that the only thing that's constant in your life is you.
Mm.
Everything else is passing through. Everyone else is passing through. And everybody in their personal life, they're passing through, they're on that journey by themselves.
That's right.
We may have children, we may have uncles and aunts and friends and all of these people. But the thing is, the time you're born up until now, the only person that's been experiencing everything you've experienced is just you. So when it's time to exit this plane and go on with your journey, the only person that's going to be going is you. So everybody else is kind of passing through your reality, but you're the constant. You're the constant variable in everything. And it's funny because most challenges in life all derive from a level of self-mastery. So you really have to look at challenges in your life and say, hey, what is it about me that allows me to have this particular experience? A lot of people don't even look at themselves when they have challenges. They like kind of, point the finger at other people. But I don't want to get too far into that. But anybody else want to go about the hardest aspect of just cultivating a relationship with spirit or God, and where you began up until now?
Running.
You said running?
Running.
Picking and choosing and running. So, I mean, some of us haven't really like cultivated, I guess, a whole to a degree.
They haven't come full circle.
What do you mean running?
Yeah.
Running, just
afraid. That's what it sounds like. Fear. When
Yeah,
people
I
run,
guess.
they're normally fearful of something. I mean, I kind of, I get that. The hardest part is if I can understand what you're saying, when people run and they're on this journey, they're more fearful of the potentiality of what it may be. Because sometimes you can know something can be so powerful and great, and you know it, but you run from it.
but it winds up catching you.
It will
I
at some point.
know. Huh?
Yeah, it will at some point. It'll catch
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So that's the hardest part for your journey is running. At some point, you're gonna get tired of running. You're gonna have to submit.
The surrendering is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the surrendering, like you know that you should, and like it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like a pick and choose.
I mean, I understand.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
when you really look at it,
you want to surrender, but it's just you're so used to just kind of.
So you think you're running from what you knew was the truth, or you're running because you don't know what's going to happen?
No, I have an idea what'll happen.
So you're running from what you know to be your truth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like yeah.
A fear of the truth.
Yeah.
This is prevalent, especially with people who have gifts. When they have gifts, they definitely be in a full sprint.
Yeah. Sometimes it get a little too real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
I think it's experiences. You like go through. I know for me, I went through a lot of experiences. A lot. Even from a kid, I can remember one time I was at a big family. We used to go to like these family reunions. They used to be all over the place, like New York, Atlantic City, just different places, right? And I remember one time, I don't know if my cousin spent me around or something, but I swore I saw somebody walking on a wall. But I don't know. I know because
you know.
I don't know.
That's what you mean. That's your running part. She knew, but she didn't want to know.
Mhm.
even one time, I don't know if it was sickness, like maybe because my mother would get me vaccinated, of course, So I don't know if it was something like after I got vaccinated or something. And I remember one time I was in my sister's room and I saw like cartoon characters. It was weird, like walking through the walls, coming out, something crazy. Then I remember my sister, she was like, she kicked me out her room one night and put me back in her room. Because I used to have, when I tell you, I used to have nightmares as a kid. They were so horrible. Like, I was like, I'm not going to bed. Like,
Sound like me.
I
Yeah.
got somebody tonight because they were on me. And I remember my sister kicked me out the bed because she swore I levitated
Mhm.
in bed. So
She's like, oh no, you got to get out of here.
she
Mhm.
put out her room. So I remember just having that eye as a kid. You know what I'm saying? So even in adolescent and moving forward, I always had an eye for things like,
So you think those experiences made you frightened, or did they draw you in?
I think it more than likely it drew me in to be able, because like I said, I experienced so much with individuals
Mhm.
that I had to be able to protect myself.
Right.
Because I knew who I was early on. I was just like, you know what? Let me just start figuring out some things because I need to know who I am,
Right.
where I'm from, and I need to know how to be able to accept whatever gifts that I got and start using them. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
that's yeah.
And I started using them early.
See.
When I started having my children, that's when I really, really, really start using those gifts because it was us. It wasn't, it was me and my daughters. So I needed them to be able to help me navigate,
Right.
through life.
So
And how
did you use them like voluntarily or was
That's
it
what I
like
was gonna ask.
involuntarily? Like
it was just natural.
just natural.
Natural calling. It was it was like I started separating myself from certain individuals. I started just moving away from things that didn't serve me no purpose. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then I started connecting with other people who was like me.
Right. Right.
I think that probably would be a help. Connecting with people that that get it. Even though like I have connected, but like connecting with people that just actually and maybe can like guide you or something. I don't know how to even explain it because some things are like involuntary and you just kind of sometimes you try to ignore it and just like, or you pick and choose what you're gonna. Yeah. So yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing that, starting that journey now with the wealth of information that's available. It's like, because even then, like it was all books, and even the books were like information overload. Because if you read something don't sit right with you in the Bible, then you cross reference it in the Quran, and then somehow you end up in the Kabbalah. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
even that was information overload. So I couldn't imagine trying to start that journey now.
I wouldn't even say it's like you have gifts, but when you are younger and you're like in church, you think you just have gifts based off of what you've learned, like those type of things.
Yeah.
And then some things are like demonic, or some things might be like, taboo, so to speak. So you really don't you might not discuss them, or you just kind of just think that maybe.
And that's what made the journey difficult, because that's when you start stumbling upon things. Your first instinct is to be like, oh, that's pagan, right? But then you start to realize that pagan is just anything that's not Christian. So like what's ingrained in you as far as religion and practice and culture goes, a lot of times is what stops you from moving forward in your spiritual journey. You have to separate yourself from all that stuff.
Yeah, I had to unlearn a lot of
right.
stuff. Yeah, I had to unlearn a lot of that, but it's still a little difficult because I'm.
Yeah, that's that framework. We might have talked about that on the first show, but that's that framework that we get. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, we do go into other schools of thought with a particular framework.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's going to clash with what you're trying to absorb at the moment.
Yep.
And you got to let that go. Kind of like having your cup full. There's no room for anything else. So you gotta get rid of that to make room for what you're trying to receive. So yeah, it makes sense. And that's a lot of subconscious debris that we need to my teacher used to always say, purify the mind. And I didn't really get it then. I understand it now, why it's so important to not take in certain things and to remove certain things and to actively practice on having more control of what is being. I look at it as a computer, and I look at some of the programming that society puts on us as spyware. It's there, but you don't know it's there, and it's running.
All the time.
It's running in the background.
Yep.
Like spyware. So when you do the shadow work, when you do the self work, you go in and you go find that stuff, and you got to get rid of it, because that's going to be the thing that is interfering with you projecting the reality that you really want. Because I'm going to tell you something, and I just had this discussion with somebody about how the so-called elite run the world. They only run the world on one concept. One concept. It ain't nothing super sophisticated. It's one thing, and that's people's fear of death. People are afraid of the chemtrails because of what it might do to them. People are afraid of the GMO food because of what it might do to them. Everything is centered around you dying, and their whole control system is based on them killing you by what they're doing. If you can master that concept, who cares what they do?
But you know what? Like, when it comes to I've never had a fear of death or anything like that. Like, there's some things that, it is the mind, because there's, yeah.
Well, this is why, purifying of the mind, and a lot of these degrees of teaching focused on the mind so much. Thus, they say the universe is mental. So your reality that you're seeing is a projection. So going back to the Illuminati thing, right? This is another way they get down on how the science works behind the scene. Collectively, the population on the planet projects the reality that they ultimately want. If somebody can download spyware on the consciousness of the entire planet, the planet is now projecting the reality that somebody else's wants, not theirs. And this is why the real mystical great reset is so important, because we get these cosmic resets and then we have a physical reset. So when you look at the cosmic reset, the whole thing is, when we had our cosmic reset, we were in the middle of the bullshit, if you know what I mean. We're in the middle of that. Everybody was in fear. So collectively, the universe is like a genie bottle. Whatever you project is going to oblige you. So if I can get everybody on the planet to vibrate on a particular vibration and be in fear, and this is my idea of how I want to keep the world, not them. They just want to be free and be happy. but I want them to be in a state of fear. So what I need to do is make sure they project the world that I want them to see. And that's pretty much how it works, like computer software. The simulation is hijacked. Going back to the movie The Matrix, they made it all clear in The Matrix if you understand the science behind it.
Yep.
So really, we're the battery. They're using us to project the reality that they want. We're the battery.
Mm. So
taking back your mind is the most important aspect in the entire journey.
Let me tell you how true that is, right? When you was younger, when I was young, learning all this stuff, taking on all this spirituality, opening all these doors and windows and having this vast view of the world, right? You couldn't tell me that there was nothing I couldn't do, right? I took that God thing very seriously. I'm God. Like, you literally can't tell me there's nothing I can do. Anything that has ever been created started with a thought. There's nothing that I can't do, right? Fast forward to when we was going through the bullshit.
Right.
It was one of the most difficult times of my life, literally. Right. So it's almost like I had a metamorphosis, a rebirth. It's the most difficult thing ever was to know and understand everything that I do, knowing that I have full control over whatever my destiny is, knowing that every physical thing starts with a thought, knowing all these things, all this manifestation, like just knowing, period. I can tell each of you the best shit ever to like give you this rebirth, to make you feel great about yourself, to open the cosmos for you. I couldn't do it for myself. So knowing all that I know, in the back of my mind was, damn, if you quit your job, how you gonna feed your family? Well, damn, if you do this, this is gonna happen. Well, if you do this, this is gonna happen. This is all shit that has been compounding on me over the past 40 years, right? But when I'm 20, I didn't give a fuck about none of that. I mean, can I curse? My bad. I didn't really care.
No, yeah, you could.
I didn't care. I didn't care about anything. You couldn't tell me nothing. You literally couldn't tell me anything. Well, if you God, make it rain. Well, give me a month and I'll figure out how to build a cloud machine. Like you can't tell me nothing, right?
Yeah.
When we was going through this whole little thing, I don't know if it was a reset. I don't know what it was, but it was like hell. So that probably was my most difficult journey ever in life, is to have the weight of knowing who you are, knowing the power that you possess, and not being able to manifest it. Like I was stuck in a bubble. I couldn't move for a year. Right. I don't understand the concepts of depression and anxiety. Like that shit didn't make no sense to me ever. I never had low self-esteem. None of that shit resonated with me ever. But I had to completely relearn everything. I had to redigest myself, basically. Rediscover, put ego to the side and rediscover who I was. So I'll be 48 next month. So I was 46 at the time. So it is crazy, but that was probably the most difficult part of my journey, was to relearn everything that I know to be true and then apply it.
That's true, because everything that we do know, we technically don't know, because we're in a realm of infinite possibility. So it's ever evolving. And one of my good teachers used to say that God is not perfect. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, God is not perfect. He said, God is on a path of perfecting itself.
Right.
The process at which it does that is perfect. I'm going to say that again.
That makes perfect sense.
God is not perfect.
Yeah.
God is on a path of perfecting itself. And the process at which it does that is perfect. And when I digested it and got it, I was like,
light bulb.
That's really dope. Like, puts it in perspective. Like everything we go through, even the bad actors, actors are playing a part. They got to do what they do as a catalyst to make us get where we need to be. So you take the bullshit that we recently went through, those who made it to the other side graduated.
Right.
They've been prepared for the next level. Something else is coming. Everybody ain't gonna make this level.
Right.
And it's just gonna keep going because it's perfecting something.
Mm-hmm.
And the process at which it does that is perfect. So everything and everyone is playing a part in this whole thing of God they call it the ascension. So if we're ascending, if everyone is ascending, then we're all going through the process at the same time. But the fact of the matter is everybody's not going to look at it as ascension. They're going to look at it as, some people will look at it as gloom and doom.
Mm-hmm.
Woe is me.
Mhm.
Why me?
Mhm.
You know.
Right.
So
Yep.
I'm in
Yeah.
a space where, you know, we have challenges, but the bottom line for me is I try to stay in a state of thankfulness, regardless of what comes. I'm thankful for that experience because I know it's being used for a purpose to push me forward. And even transitioning out of these bodies, what we call death, which technically, if you look at it, death as a concept doesn't exist. Death as a concept does not exist. Transitioning out of a body is just the process at which we came into a body. There has to be existence prior to taking on these vessels. You can't be here unless you take on a vessel. So going back home, you got to give this shit up. It's like going into outer space. You got to put on a spacesuit to be in space.
Go back for a second. So are you in a space now where you can acknowledge that when you're going through that assertion period, that what you call gloom and doom, can you acknowledge and appreciate it as it's happening, like in the moment?
As it's happening,
I used to be able to.
yes.
Mhm.
Is that the part where you see the good in it? Is that you
Yes.
acknowledging and accepting it?
I catch
Mhm.
flack for that.
You see it and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I understand what this is.
Yeah.
Right.
Now let me find the good in
Yeah.
it and get past it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's not easy.
That's not
I'm
easy.
gonna keep it a bean.
That's not easy.
It's not easy. And I catch flack for that because sometimes people will say, you know, why can't you just focus on all the happy whatever? I said I am focused on that. But to be a whole person, you got to look at the whole picture.
Right.
It's all good. It's technically all good. And if the process is perfect, then there are no mistakes. I think we have a bad relationship with.
That's a hard pill to swallow when you're
You
going
know.
through it, though.
Yeah, it is.
That's hard.
It is. It is.
It's hard, but you know what? I think the way that, like, what pushed me to actually be able to do that is because, like, I was going through such a terrible time in my life, and that's all I had to turn to. Like, you know what? It must be a reason. Like, you know what? And I started giving thanks and being thankful at the present moment with tears in my eyes and everything.
Right.
Like, at the very moment of going through whatever it is that I was going through. And each time I would do that, I guess it built like some sort of strength in me or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I didn't have any other, like, there was no other. So it's almost like I had no other choice. Like,
You don't.
That-
At some point,
that
you
was
just
it.
gotta let
Like,
go. At some point, you just like, you know
exactly.
Yeah.
what? My
Exactly.
turning point was, okay, whatever I want it. Whatever's coming to me, I want, good or bad, it's mine. I want it. Give it to me. I want it.
Right.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
And at that point, it is what it is. Because whatever it is, I'm gonna get through it.
And I
Right.
just said to somebody the other day, like, I remember being on that path and I veered off. And I don't remember when that happened, or, you know what I mean? I didn't even realize that I had veered off of that until acknowledging it when I was talking to the person. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because at one point I was like so thankful. Like, it could be the worst situation ever. And I was just like thankful. And then it just stopped. Like, and I veered off. So
It's a teaching moment.
yeah.
But if you really think about it, every situation you've ever been in your life, no matter how bad it seemed, you always came out on the other side.
Yeah, because you're here.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And once I got that, I was like, damn, let me stop tripping about certain things. There's no need to trip. Let me do the knowledge to it. Let me sit here and, put this thing together so I can maneuver better, So,
But it also made me, I don't know about y'all, but it also, every time you go through something like that, it chips away a little bit of the outside world and it makes me go more in. So the more stuff I go through, the more learning experiences I have. I don't want to deal with people, to be honest with you, because
get like that.
They're not
I
going to be
like
on the journey that I'm on, and I'm quite comfortable being alone, and I don't really like the distraction. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. It is what it is. But the more I learn, the more I become comfortable with self, and the more I learn about the universe, the more I don't really want to fuck with people.
That's not a bad thing. Yeah. That's actually that is the personal journey of the soul.
Right.
Now, if you're called as a soul to uplift humanity, then you have a different assignment, because we all got karmic assignments on why we came here. Yeah. But universally, everybody's assignment is to reach enlightenment. That's for everybody.
Yeah.
But if you're called as an enlightened personality to uplift humanity, then you may be called to minister to people, or you may be called to teach a school, or you may be called to start a podcast. Like, you are now designated as a light bearer to lead the way for those in the dark. That's a part of your assignment. But then you have some, they're just focused on enlightenment, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Yeah. Kim, I got the first time we had the show, you shared a story about being around an individual at work, I think, and frequency was off. It rubbed off on you. You absorbed that frequency, and it caused some spiritual disturbances in your life, and you had to fix that. Do you remember that story?
I remember it.
Did that work, or was it in my personal life? Because in my personal life,
it could have been.
I think you said your personal. I think it was her personal life.
Listen, I didn't ran across a. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't realize they was demons until, I guess, maybe I got to, I ascended to where I needed to be.
Right.
So I ran across a lot of demons in my life, but going back to what Chico said is like you start not to like people, you know what I'm saying? Not like be around people, and it was just like I kind of accepted the fact that I'm not for everybody, So those are hard, especially when you're in your latter teens, 17, 18, 19, and you're getting into that age where you 21 to 25, where you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you start losing, you start disconnecting from a lot of people. That's rough, going through those type of situations where you disconnect because you're just not on the same frequency,
Yeah.
And so it took a lot for me to be able to sit back, and I'm not going to, and maybe even a few years ago, maybe I really sat back and I evaluated each individual that was played a part in my life or I had any contact with, and I really analyzed them deep down. And I said, you know what? I can't blame them. It's not their fault. That's when I started making peace with any situations that I ever had to deal with in my life that caused me any type of, I don't know, whatever. But You know, I had to really deep down go into their background, into their surface.
That's too much. You tried too hard.
I said, no wonder. You know, I can't even. You start to empathize with
yeah, you empathize.
You empathize with those traumas because you don't realize that they're traumas at that age. You think that people are just being mean and they're not being nice and or whatever. They just don't like you.
Yeah.
Or whatever the thing. But when you analyze it and you go deep down inside, you be like, yo, they had some traumas going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Had they had, you know what I'm saying, help or teachers or a foundation or just anything, mentors or anybody to be able to help them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Things might be different. So you kind of got to forgive, you know?
Yeah.
You got to forgive. You got to let go. You got to make peace.
Right.
And one thing about me, I made peace with so much in my life, any and everything that I was confronted with, even as a small kid, all the way up until now. I made peace with it because you just don't know what people on the back end, you know what I'm saying? So
that's hard to do, but you have to in order to move forward and progress like yourself.
Yeah, that shows a sign of progression on your part.
Yeah, you have to.
Progression and peaceful.
Yep.
Right.
I'm at
That's cool, but I'm petty.
Yeah.
Be a lot.
I'm petty.
Be a lot to get
Chico,
to
where. No.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of candle burning.
I hear you.
Right.
A lot of going to see, and most people think, oh, it's so taboo. I had a spiritual advisor, a spiritualist that
I think everybody needs that to a degree.
I wish I had one, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
wish I had one too.
Mama Kita, from the time my daughter, I want to say maybe my daughter was 3 years old. 3. Okay, she's 21, right? And I connected with this lady named Mama Kita from Ghana. And she used to sell material, because if you don't know, my mother sews. My mother's she's a gifted seamstress. So if you do follow me, I do post her at sometimes. And the things that she makes by hand with no pattern. Some things are with patterns, but she's gifted, very gifted. As a kid, she used to make my dresses, all types of crazy stuff. Dolls, everything. But anyway, I met with this African lady from Ghana, Mama Kita, and she used to make dashikis. And my mother would get African material, and I would bring her the material, and she'd make African dashikis for me, or she'll make head wraps and stuff. And then I found out she had a whole nother side to her. She believed in Ifa. She was from Yoruba, like the whole Yoruba. And the thing with those type of African spiritualities, you need you don't need one, but you probably need about 10 people working with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not one. So she was one that I had. And then from my job, I had another girl, and she actually moved to Boston, and she was heavy. She was heavy in it. And she was a Caucasian girl. I want to say she was Italian. And they might have been different. She might have had like gypsy blood in her, something crazy. But she was a herbalist. And she got me into dealing with a lot of herbal natural teas and not using tea bags, but being able to boil herbs and straining them and, drinking them and stuff like that, but anywho. Yeah, you got to work with a lot of people. So I was able just to be able to have that gift and deal with certain situations as I got older. It just helped me. It just helped me become the person I am, be able to raise my daughters, be able to keep negative energy away from me, all types of stuff, so I can progress, ascend.
Right.
I'm the opposite
That's what
of. I think I'm the opposite of Kim because, like, you were able to, like, I grew up in a family, like, hindsight, looking back, like, certain things and certain practices were around, but you were clueless as to, looking back now as an adult, you
Right.
recognize and understand certain things, you know what I mean? Like, little things start to make sense, but there was no, like, guidance, like, like when I first I moved here in 2004, and Miami taught me, like, a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? And still didn't really teach me. I just realized that there was a whole nother different type of
World.
everything. Yeah, it was a totally different type of world. Like, yeah, with all these islanders and stuff, like, so. And then, little things start to make sense because clearly my family's from Haiti. So things start to make sense,
Right. And sometimes parents don't or families don't go into certain things, especially if they've had a lot of I guess you should say spiritual warfare and things going on in their family. They kind of shield the kids from that. They don't get into it heavy. But there's always a time where that kid comes of age where they can comprehend. And at some point, the family or the parents, they go ahead and have those conversations with those children, because you handicap your
I was
your
just gonna
kids
say that.
About holding
when you don't, especially coming from that bloodline, that family tree.
Especially when you have gifts.
When you have gifts, and if your family dealt with any kind of spiritual
growth.
warfare challenges just in their family line, and they shield it from the kids get older, they grow up, at some point you got to have that conversation with your children, because if you don't equip them, they fall victim to things that you were shielding them from.
Yeah.
You got to bring them up to speed. You have to bring them up to speed.
Either way, you got to face it.
So look, y'all keep saying gifts, right? Do you think that it's only certain people that are predisposed to these things, or do you think that it's something that's in all of us that just has to be nurtured and brought to the forefront? Because I don't know I don't think that it's just special people.
I think we all have gifts.
Yes.
I think we all have gifts. They have to be nurtured, but I think for some people, you might have let's say football players. You might have one that's like naturally good at football, like from the time he was like born, and then you have another one that you have to train to become like that one.
Same
principle. The gift is still there, like you still have that in you, but it's just you have to work a little harder on. Some people just kind of, whether they want it or not, just have this. They just have.
Right.
And also, I would like to say,
but we all have.
Yeah, we all have them, but also I would like to mention that it's also with some people a fear of walking into your own purpose too. You know, some people are fearful of shining, and they withhold their gifts from everybody. We are all blessed to have gifts and we have a purpose, but for some reason some of us, I should say, are always scared and we withhold them, which is actually kind of a sin, because if our Creator is blessing us with something, it's our duty to share it with everybody, share it with the world.
Yeah.
And I'm talking from personal experience. So, and to answer your question, Dre, the question that you brought up, that's probably on my spiritual journey, the hardest part is probably feeling like I let the creator down by not stepping into my purpose.
Damn.
I can understand that.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm filled with so many gifts, but
Yeah.
because of the fear, you know, Cheek, you know, Dre,
Yeah,
like
I
the
am right
ones
there
who
with
have
you.
grown, right?
Yeah.
But because of that fear, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how it got there, but because it's there, I wasn't able to utilize what our creator
Right.
gave
Right.
me. And that's probably the hardest part of that journey, is feeling like the creator is disappointed in me because of that. Here, I blessed you with something and you're not using it.
Yep.
So what
Right.
good are you? You know?
Well, let's look at it like this. Let's look at the big picture. Let's take it off of you personally.
Mhm.
Let's look at the big picture.
Damn, Dave, you killed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
beauty-
listen.
The beauty of it is I feel what you're saying. There's a lot of
Right.
people like that. But don't try not to personalize it. And I know that's not, easy. But here's the thing. Here's
Okay.
the thing. Remember we talked about, God or source perfecting itself, and the process at which it does that is perfect in its design.
Mhm.
This particular incarnation that you're in right now is a short pit stop as Dave. Dave as a concept or personality doesn't exist. Only the source that's driving your machine is the real you. So whatever it is you don't accomplish in this particular incarnation, you still have to pick up in the next one and continue your journey until you reach what they call Nehas, or the Great Awakening. Once you reach that, there is no reason for any of us to come back here and go through this anymore. We move on to a whole nother level of existence, according to our ancient teachings. This is not a Dre thing, but I'm just relaying the information as it was given to me. So I feel what you're saying as the ego personality called Dave. I feel what you're saying, and that's a natural thing. That's a natural thing. And you have a right to feel that way. But just remember, the essence of you is on a journey. So you're going to continue this thing and get it all right when it's all said and done, as you complete the process.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you like skip and hop
Not
through this
give
life.
up. Right.
Oh, no. You can't. That's why how you feel right now is a necessary it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
For lack of better terms.
You
can't forsake it. You have to be in a state of gratitude, like I said before.
Yeah.
So we all, in the end, which is the beginning, we all win. It's just the journey, and our personal perception of what's taking place is the challenge. If that makes sense.
Right.
As far as the gifts are concerned, Chico asked the question about, do we all have the gift? We all have the gift. Certain people have a stronger Wi-Fi signal than others. Yes. I'll say that.
Right.
No.
So
you should Photoshop that.
Yeah, we have everybody has the capability, but certain individuals.
That's going to become a meme.
What?
Dre, come on, man.
The Wi-Fi signal. Yeah, certain people interface better with source.
Right.
In that, does that make them special? It puts let's take the special out of it, because then we'll get into ego a little bit.
More responsibility.
Yeah, if you look at it as just a ranking on where things are in the big schematic of things, certain people rank higher on the purpose scale. But everything is used, waste nothing. But certain people have a higher purpose in the greater scheme of things. I'll just say that. So if you have a greater Wi-Fi signal, you can tap in easier, manifest easier,
right?
Have experiences easier than others. but we all have the ability. That's a nice way to put it.
Let me ask you something, Dre. You talk about Wi-Fi signal and receptors. Personally, I found that when I cut my locks, I was a little my signal was a little weaker. You know what I'm saying? You follow me?
Yeah.
And I always shit 98, 96, something like that. Was with a lot of Rastas, right?
Yeah.
And one day changed my life forever. Rasta came and started calling me Curly Locks, right?
Yeah.
Because I started with twists. There was just two pieces of hair twisted together. Started calling me Curly Locks. I didn't like it at all, right? I felt disrespected. So one day I questioned him about it. He was like, "Listen, young man, answer me a question. You growing your hair, you growing your locks from your head or from your heart?" What kind of dumb shit is that? But later on, it sunk in, right?
Yeah.
And when I cut them off, boom, cut them off, started again, and they became literal antennas. Antennas I used to call them antennas to the sun. That's how I attracted my energy. I said all that to say, I don't find it ironic that when I started going through a rough patch is when I cut them off. I wasn't in tune. Now my question to you is: you had locks at one point, right?
Twice.
Did you notice the same thing?
Yeah. When I cut my locks off, I became a lot more worldly. If that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I became a lot more worldly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to do a lot of refocusing, man. But yeah, they're really powerful. So, like it's funny how people.
It's a real thing.
It's definitely a real thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So and with that being said, I had to kind of circle back around and reinforce some things to bring me back to center, and but yeah, that's part of the process.
But like
Tasha
you said, it's part of the
never answered
process.
the question.
Huh?
Tasha has a question.
Oh,
Tasha never answered the first question.
Good one.
Oh,
she's trying to get away.
Yeah, what's the hardest part of your spiritual relation? Your journey, building a relationship with spirit
They're
or
gonna
God.
make sure Tasha talk tonight.
Yeah. She's taking in a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm really taking it in. I'm really like listening in, and you know what I mean. So I think the hardest part is now, because for me it was like in the beginning when I was younger. I think I always had a connection with spirit or whatever. I don't know at what point in my life, maybe some trauma or something that triggered me to kind of, I don't want to disconnect, but something happened where I just kind of, I don't want to say lost it, but wasn't so in tune to it, right? And in tune to things. I always had these, when I was younger, little knowings or whatever it was. I don't know. And then I got, somewhere happened, and then I got disconnected, and I went through the motions of life, and then I kind of got connected with a very good friend of mine now who, she has, her name is Dawn. She has gifts, if you will. And she kind of got me back on it, but I still wasn't like ready. You know what I mean? It was like I forgot. It was just like, I don't know. It was like my mind was totally wiped of everything, right? And so then now it's like a rebirth. And then something else traumatic happened 3 years ago. And that kind of opened up everything, right?
Right.
That brought me back into, and then everything started hitting. And then that's what, and then now I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is hitting me at once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing this. You're supposed to do this. I'm seeing this and this and whatever's going on. Everything's happening to me at once, and I'm like, "Oh shit! Wait! I don't want to. I don't want this. Because before I used to be so fascinated by it, and I used to be like, wow, fascinated with people who were so in tune and just could just embrace it. And it was just like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, wow, I wish I could do that, not knowing all along I had it. And I never knew that certain things that would happen or that I would know or I would see or whatever it was because I had it, but I just blocked it out. And now it's just like, now that I know and I'm aware of everything, I'm scared because it just hit me. Like it hit me too hard and too fast. And I'm like, wait, I gotta figure out how to process and deal with it all. So right now, the hardest part is now being reacquainted with who I am and what I know and what gifts, whatever you want to call them. I don't know.
Right.
So how many layers do you want to take this conversation? Can we go a layer deeper?
Yeah.
What I learned, right, to get over a lot of my fears, I started in my dreams. Once I was able to control what happened in my dreams, like in my dreams, I'm a superhero. You can't do nothing to me, right? But once I started realizing that, oh shoot, I can go places in my dreams, or even if it's a nightmare, right, I can fight back in my dreams, and I always win. That subconsciously, I guess, I don't know, maybe subconsciously gave me a strength that I forgot that I had when I woke up. So having that confidence and having that strength in my dream allowed me to pursue things that maybe scared me a little bit when I was awake. So that's a good place for me, and at least that was a good place to start, was in my dreams. Once I took over my dreams, a lot of things started changing.
All right. To add on to that, I'm gonna give you an example of what he just explained. We've all seen The Matrix, right? There's a scene where Morpheus is talking to Neo and he's training him. And he says, you know Kung Fu. Neo's like,
no, I
don't know Kung Fu. And he downloads it. Yeah. Now he knows Kung Fu. And wherever he downloaded it from, which was the real world, he downloaded it into the Matrix, which is this world. And he was able to utilize it inside of the Matrix. What Chico's explaining is the world without limitation, where it all goes down, where you can be fully God, is in the realm of thought or mind. And when you're there, that is a place where things are projected from. So if you do a lot of work there, it reinforces this matrix, because this is a matrix. This is not the real world that we're in right now. This is just a projection of that world. It's a slower vibration. We're living in a slower vibration of the world he just explained, where he goes and he's a superhero. This is the slower version of that. So it has limitations. So you can't walk through a wall.
Wow. That's unique, because you want to finish? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, Kim, go ahead, honey.
I want to know how you get there.
So, to me, for a person who dream a lot, is in conflict. You're in a lot of turmoil, and you're in a lot of conflict with dreams.
Why you say that?
And I'm just, I mean, like, this is just what I think about dreams, because I don't dream. I don't dream at all. When I rest that night, it's what I do. I'm at complete rest.
Wow.
I'm probably at a heart rate. I can hear my heartbeat when I'm resting.
I know some people like that.
That's wow.
Legit.
I want to be there.
I can hear my blood running through my veins.
So you're dreaming.
And no, I'm not dreaming.
If you're sleeping and you can feel that, you're having you're projecting.
I'm not in dream yet. I'm not in dream state, because I'm aware.
You're aware.
Gotcha.
Things.
I know what you're talking about.
I can hear it. I can hear my heart.
When you say aware, are you aware of your surroundings in your physical reality?
I'm aware of everything. My senses are very heightened when I'm going into rest state.
Okay, I'm gonna add on to that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Almost like I can hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear the pin drop. And if I hear something and it wakes me up, I'm angry. Because I need rest. I'm to the point now before, like, whoop, you could wake, you know what I'm saying? Call me, hello. Now, if you disturb any type of rest that I'm trying to get, I'm angry. So what I do is I legit make sure everything is locked up in my house. Now I even turn my phone off, and I set my phone to a personal. So there's only about 10 people that can get in touch with me. So if my phone rings, when I set it in that personal mode, I know it's real important for me to get up out of my rest. Other than that, I'm going to rest. Now, when I have a dream, I remember my dreams. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not probably dreaming, you know, when I'm resting. I don't know. But when I remember and I wake up and I remember my dreams, and I can really sit back and say, oh my God, I got to make a phone call because I had a dream.
And they're few and far between.
I need some help. I need somebody to interpret this because I can't interpret the dream, or something happened or something's going to happen.
Right.
That's when I dream, you know, because I believe that's the universe. When I put my manifestations or whatever I put out there, that's the universe responding to me. When I wake up and I said, oh, guess what? Guess what I dreamed about?
Yeah.
That's the universe letting me know, talking to me. Whatever the universe I put out there, whatever the universe wants to give to me, they gave it to me. And I need to make sure I let whoever, and I need to let it be known. So I'm going to call about 5-10 people that think, girl, guess what happened? I had a dream about that, you know?
When you're first falling asleep, right? When you're in that quiet space and your all your senses are like amplified, can you feel yourself slip into something comes over you, right? And then you're like, okay, I'm asleep, but I'm still aware. But can you recognize that point? It almost feels like a calm, like I equated to, like, remember when we was little, people would do that shit when they put their hand on your head and go like that and make like an egg broke over your head. So that feeling comes over your whole body.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
I mean, I have felt, because I'm able to.
Why do I know what he's talking about?
I can meditate. I don't have cable in my house.
Dre, do you know where I'm going?
I know exactly. I know what she's saying. I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I
know what Joe's thinking.
I felt.
Yeah, we're gonna unpack this thing.
Yes, please.
I felt that body. I felt my muscles release.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Right. But then after that, are you still aware?
After that,
it's like the most calming feeling, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm finally at rest. But after that, are you still aware of what's going on?
I'm not aware because because it takes you 2 hours to fall asleep.
Okay.
For those that don't know, like, you really think, like, when you go lay down in the bed, you close your eyes, it takes you legit 2 hours
to hit that deep sleep.
You don't go. I mean,
yeah, you're right, 100%.
So if you're in tune with your body, your mind, body, and spirit, okay, you're going to be able to feel. And I know when I'm overworked. I know when I've been through so much during the week. I know when my body needs rest. When my body needs rest, I legit feel like I fell off of. You ever felt like somebody just came and pushed your bed down on all the springs, and boom, sprung you up, and you kind of like jerked up out of your sleep?
Yep.
Because you can't let go. your body is having a hard time relaxing. That's why you feel that jerk, like, because your body is in such that, what is it, that flight, response that you can't even let go. Like, I've learned to be able to, when I come home from work, relax.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Have a good rest.
I feel weighted. And Pablo Chalk in the chat, he said he feels weighted. He said that's the process of REM sleep. What I wanted to add to that was a couple of things. When we talk sleep, there's different layers to it, right? And you got different frequencies, theta waves, delta waves. You got different frequencies of sleep. Before we get into the sleep thing, for those who are, I'm gonna say everybody, but some are more sensitive to this. I'm one of those individuals. If you have your Wi-Fi turned all the way up, you can't turn it off, right? I'm one of those individuals. You put me in a dark room, turn off all the lights, turn off all the stimuli from the external world. My Wi-Fi signal goes on super blast because there is no interference from the outside world to bombard my signal at this moment. Meaning I can pick up every presence, entity, movement, anything from the other realm in my surroundings. The only way for me to get proper rest, I have to have something stimulating the external world to keep my higher senses from latching on to the unseen.
Right.
Whether it be raindrops playing, or some people sleep with their television on, or
they got some kind of white noise.
Exactly. And only thing it's doing is tricking my senses to focus on it a little bit while I rest. Because if it's not there, I'm going in full Wi-Fi mode, which means now, take for instance, people always say, I want my third eye to be open. I would love to have my psychic abilities and all of this. Be careful of what you wish for.
Yeah.
It's not something you get to turn off and on like a light switch.
Yeah.
So when that world has access to you, because now they can see you and you can see them, they're going to be on your ass 24/7.
Yep.
You get no peace. Even when you trying to sleep, they knocking at your spiritual door. Hey, wake up. I got something to tell you. Or some of them are just happy the fact that you know that they're there. You didn't get to turn that off. So
I get woken up all the time. I get woken up all the time. Like I get woken up like 3, 4. And I'll be like, I don't sleep. Because every time I try to sleep, it's like I'll jump up like because I hear my name. And then I wake up and I'm looking and it'd be like 3:33 or 3 or 4:44, 4:15, whatever. It's always in the 3 and the 4 o'clock hour.
Well, that's the witching hour.
I know, and I'm thinking like, first of all, it takes me forever. Like you said, it takes about 2 hours to fall asleep. It takes me forever to fall asleep. So just when I'm thinking that I'm getting in that state of rest, something I will automatically hear my name or see I hear something, and I pop up and I look and I'll be like, damn. And I'll be like, so now I got to the point where I'm just like, all right, what do you have to tell me? Or I don't even know, or sometimes I don't know what to say. I just lay there and like, okay, now what?
Tasha, look like you getting better than me, honey, because I don't ask a damn question. I don't ask a damn thing.
It's happening, but because right now, especially like lately, it's been happening so much, and I'm like, well, I'm getting frustrated because it's like because again, I'm still in that scared state, right? So like I want to know, but I don't want to know. Like I know they're trying to tell me something, but like remember Joe, after the show, you saw the light. Remember the light was flickering in the house. I was like, oh shit. Now I was low key scared.
And the topic we were on.
Right.
And the topic we were on.
because Joe showed me looking. I looked. I said, and she's like, I saw you. I was like, oh, you saw that? Because sometimes I'll be thinking I'm bugging out, but it was kind of a relief to see somebody actually see that I'm, experiencing stuff. So now I'm at the point, but back to what I was saying, I'm at the point where now it's like it's happening so much. I don't think I know how to receive the message. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, and I don't know. I don't know.
I think sometimes that's where maybe like spiritual advisors or something comes in, but with some like when I get something that I pay attention to, it's like he just, and it won't leave you alone. So you don't have a choice but to, because remember the topic we were on when the light flickered, like I was talking to Curry, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, sometimes the message is clear and sometimes it might be a dream and you have to have somebody pick it, or sometimes the dream is like to a T and exactly, depending on, because sometimes and I say he because that's what he's a he, I guess. Sometimes it's a knowing. Like all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're like, oh my gosh. And you know exactly who, what you have to, like, it just drops and you just know. Like, I hate to sound crazy. This doesn't make sense, but blah, 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 blah.
Right. Now I've had that, but it wasn't for me.
No, not for you.
It was like for somebody else. It was like something, and I had to tell somebody else something.
Yeah, right? You don't have a name. It's not a name, but like it's almost like I don't know how to. Okay, yeah,
I get it because but it's just like, but lately I don't know. But lately I don't know.
Excuse me.
If it's for me, I don't know what's going on, but they're trying to get something is trying to get my attention for something, and
let me tell you, the witching hour is the worst hour to be woken up at night. Because the 3 and the 4 and the 5, you could Google that.
Oh, I know.
Google the 3, the 4, and the 5.
That's scary.
The witching hour is like, I don't want to get woken up at the witching hour. Because if I get woken up at the witching hour, I mean, like, seriously, like, I don't, because like you said, you know what it is. You know what it is that's waking you up. You know what you got to do. If you getting woke up at the 3 and the 4 and the 5 o'clock hour, you know what you got to do. So,
and like when I tell you, it's been like, especially like the past 2 weeks. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, but but it's on me because I'm not being receptive, I guess.
I start to think like I start thinking because I'm so scary about certain stuff. Not scary, but you know what I'm saying. Like I'm a runner. I'm a runner. I'm a track star. No.
Yes.
I'm starting to think like you will get messages in what's comfortable for you. I think maybe in some cases, I don't know. I mean, some people have more than one thing that they kind of juggle, but I think it's not like, because I think if I was woken up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning by something or hearing things, or like, well, I can't even say, I'm not woken up at 3, like, you might hear things or see things, but I'm not woken up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I think that would terrify me to the point where
it's crazy. Like,
so I think you're contacted, like how it maybe doesn't terrify you. I don't know.
I've been woken up at those times, plenty of times.
The other night I had like my picture fell. It was like 3 something, and I thought I was asleep, but then my picture just fell off the wall.
Yeah,
like
those
boom,
things would terrify me.
in my room. And I jumped up and I saw, like, it's a picture that my daughter had painted. My daughter paints. So it was a picture that my daughter had painted, like, above my bed. And it just fell.
Are you sleeping in silence? Like everything's off? You don't have like radio or?
Yeah, but I started turning like the fan on. I'm trying to, like, but I do, because I like to sleep in peace. I like quiet. I like to.
So do they.
Hmm.
But they need to leave me alone. I don't
and this is everything that you guys are saying. This boils down to the topic of the actual show, the urban spiritual journey. You got to realize that we have a waking life and things that we do every day with ease. We're not afraid of it. We go through life and we eat dinner and we go here and we go there. We play with our kids. The thing is, that seems normal to us. We don't spend any time cultivating a relationship. But everything you guys are explaining is completely natural. You don't have a natural relationship with it.
Yep.
A comfortable relationship with it. So it feels weird, scary. We got all of these this framework that we're taking into the experience to explain it, and it's spooky and all it. It's a thing. It's a reality. It's happening. But the thing is, there's nothing that exists in the phenomenal universe that is not supposed to exist. So when we put labels on it, I get the label. That's your personal rationale. But it's still a thing that exists within the infinite. We got to build better relationships with stuff like this.
Right.
Going back to Kim. Going back to Kim. When spirit and when I use certain terms, I'm using terms for the sake of conversation, because I don't know you guys spirit guides. I don't know your ancestry who's really around you and hanging out and making sure you straight. I don't know all of that. So I'm gonna use a very generic term like spirit or whatever. When there is information that has to get to you, they make sure you get that information, regardless of the time or the hour.
Oh, yeah.
You have to respond when you get that information. It's going to be crystal clear. They ain't going to be hazy. They ain't going to be shit you're going to have to figure out. It's going to come direct. I've spent time cultivating that. I know direct messages. I know messages where it's like it could be a collection of subconscious clutter. I know things that are metaphoric that I need to decipher. I know exactly how these things come because they came so often early on in my life. I had to sit down and figure out a working blueprint on how to file each thing. So when it comes, I know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I'm not disturbed by it. I'm not moved by it. Okay, this is what it is.
Yep.
I know direct messages. They come crystal clear in full color, HD, blah. It is what it is. Okay, now I got to deliver a message. So you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I had recently, not too long ago, like, the women in my life.
I disregard the clock.
Like, between women, okay. It's I had a situation with a woman, and this woman must have had some turmoil in her life, right? And it was crazy because I didn't understand it. I didn't get it, because I was coming at a genuine place. Okay. My spirit, the way my spirit was just, out there dangling in whatever, I just didn't get it.
You were open.
Which is unlike me, not to pick up on your energy like that, you know? So it was kind of weird that I had been dealing with this woman and on a friendship, because normally I don't I've always had that motto, no new friends, you know, little associates and things like that. But as I got older and most of my girlfriends, you know, moved away, and you know, as we get older, we have our own lives and we don't desire to be with each other every weekend and things like that, you know. But they're in different states and stuff like that. I had been open to accepting new friendships. Okay. And I've been battling this woman, and make a long story short, I was getting the signs. Like it was hitting me. And it was crazy because I just couldn't, like, either I was avoiding it or I was trying to figure out how I was going to nail this and not offend her with an observation of her. You know what I'm saying? In order to move forward with the relationship, with the friendship. And it was like the universe was like, you want it? Bam, here it is. Bam, here it is. Bam, here it is. And one day I just got up the nerve to actually, I said, you know what? Called her up. I said, listen, honey, I need to talk to you because the spirit put this on my heart. We need to have this talk real quick. And, you know, broke it down to her, everything. And I want to say, since that has happened, the relationship has been a little bit better.
So she was receptive.
She was receptive because she actually had no choice to probably receptive because of the way I approached her with it. And I think that sometimes the universe allows you to connect and reach people because maybe they need you.
Right. That's true.
She may have needed me. You know what I'm saying? Because of maybe all of her other past. And this is another thing. This is where a person, like, when you're at peace within yourself, you can understand, you can relate, and you can step out. I can come up out of that box and I can look within you and I can say, you know what? That's not my purpose. I wasn't sent to her because I had already put that in the universe years ago. I didn't want no new friends. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that I'm dealing with moving forward, it's for a purpose. I don't look at you as, oh, we friends. We just gonna go out. We gonna hang out, girl. We gonna have a good time. I am an asset to you. If I come into your life, I'm an asset because I have those gifts. I'm able to teach. I have the knowledge, and I'm able to relate. And God sent me. God gonna send me to those ones that need me. That's the way I think now. And I knew that she needed a friend to be able to relate to her. Maybe whatever trauma she had going on. And that's that.
So basically you became that person who is in service to humanity. You figure that out.
And that's the whole thing. When you're going through a spiritual journey, like I said, it's going to be experiences. Most people get on YouTube and Facebook, whatever, and they say, "Oh, I like crystals. Oh, I like metaphysics. Oh, I like the metanet and all that stuff." You know what I'm saying? But you have to go through experiences. I've been through experiences. I've seen a lot of things. I dealt with a lot of things. And I've been in a lot of situations where I could have had my head peeled back. And it wasn't even dealing with, like, and I don't know if any of you knew, I lost my sister a year ago. And my sister had been on drugs from the time me and her was 10 years apart. So I want to say if I was about 17, 16, she was 26. She was in college. And my sister dated a basketball player named Len Bias, but you know what I'm saying? And he lost his life because my sister went to the University of Maryland.
Wait a minute. The Len Bias?
I remember Len Bias.
Yes. My sister
Wow.
My sister went to the University of was in that circle, in that whole circle. Okay. She was never right after that.
Wow.
My parents brought her back to Jersey, right? And my sister was on the streets from the time I was 17 years old. So I had already been a witness and in situations, you know what I'm saying, where I had to be her protector. I had to protect myself. I done ran up in places where I had to go get her, all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
oh my God. I'm so sorry. Can y'all hear that?
Definitely.
I'm so sorry.
So I had to be able to kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
He trying to get in.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Some people are infatuated with the concept of this spiritual thing, and then you got those who actually live it.
Live it.
You know,
protection.
Yeah.
Being have to go to a legit knowing your root, because I knew my roots from as a small kid, because my parents, even though they were in the church, they were from a different era of church. They're not like the church now. Like the church now is full of clowns, and you know, it ain't really.
You got the front side of the church, and you got the back side.
The church where they were from, they could harmonize without drums, guitars, pianos, and everything. So we're talking about real spiritual spirit type work with them, because they were more so the ADOS, the African descendants of slaves.
Right.
Okay. They were really coming from out the woods.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And bringing their spirituality. Because if you know about most of the native culture, the indigenous cultures, all down from starting from maybe Virginia all the way down the coastline to Florida, you know that they are a mixture of African spirituality, Native American spirituality, all entwined. You know what I'm some of them they believe in Jesus or Yeshua or whoever, you know what I'm saying? Some of them still believe in root work and spiritual work, you know what I'm saying? So
That's the backside of the church, especially in the South.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people.
Yeah.
You got to keep in mind the whole, in a lot of cases, the whole concept of Jesus and all that was used to keep things in a certain balance and not cause too many disturbances. But in behind all of that, we know what went on and how people got down. So yeah, that's a lot of traditions. In order for certain waves of life to survive, they assimilated in just to keep the man off their ass. So I get that, but they were still doing the work. They were still doing the work. So, but yeah, that's definitely definitely a thing. I wanted to ask a question. Do you guys think source or God is male or female?
Wow.
Neither.
Neither. Yeah. Yep. Neither.
It's not male or female.
We've been programmed to say he. We've been programmed to say he.
That's
I know
right.
I've been programmed.
That's right.
Programmed to say he.
Oh.
But once I really embraced spirituality, I don't think I stopped putting a label to it.
Mm-hmm.
So is it safe to call it an it?
Yeah. But that's deep too.
Like
would you say
like it?
would you say neither or would you say both? That's crazy too.
What?
I said neither, but Kim said both. But that makes sense though.
I would say both.
I think it's both because I see myself as being a goddess.
Right.
God. I'm not going to say God, but
right.
I look at myself as that because I can bear life. Number one. That's number one. I can bring forth life and I can take it.
Yeah, but scientifically that's not, that could be done in a test tube.
Now it could with modern day medicine.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. How about it? I am that I am. It just is.
Yeah.
So is it okay to say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it.
Because organically, we say, it is raining outside, or it is sunny.
Damn, you killed. Yeah.
But then we also have mother. We also have what? Mother Nature.
It is hot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if I can agree with that. I think when we're referencing to God is within you.
I'm gonna have to agree with Kim.
Okay, so let me clarify it a little bit. Because Kim, you're right. God manifested in the physical realm, then you guys would be right. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now we're talking about source. The only time we start personalizing source based on, let's say, duality or opposites, that's only in the physical realm.
11:11.
But when we're talking about source as a whole, in a lot of ancient books, they've referred to as the all encompassing of everything, the totality of everything. But as it manifests down into physicality to have this human experience, then we can get into, the gender and this and that. But when you transcend all of that, like when people take mushrooms and have these psychedelic experiences, they'd be like, I was connected to everything. I was a part of everything.
The avatar.
Yeah. Just one source. I felt the breeze and I felt the flowers and I wasn't separate from nothing. Source. This is what they say.
Yeah.
Right.
I asked the question just to see, see how people would respond to that. It's kind of a trick question because it can go a couple of different ways, but I wanted to see what you guys would actually say about that.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you guys think that it's possible to pull something from a dream into reality?
Say that again.
Do you think that it's possible to pull an object from a dream into reality? Like go to sleep, you
like
dream about an object, and you wake up with that object.
Is it possible?
Do you guys think it's possible?
I would say it's possible.
Like it's actual, like
I would
you're
say
dreaming
so.
of like a flower, and you wake up, and that actual flower is in the bed with you.
Definitely
type
possible.
Of thing. Huh?
Yeah.
I would think it's definitely possible.
I think it's
No.
So
No.
talk about
think
the
so?
superhero dream thing. I've been in a dream where I'm like protecting people or whatever, fighting, and woke up with like scratches. So if that's possible, then why not the flower thing?
And there's 9 times you were scratching yourself, but the flower.
Kim, don't go ruining my superhero moment.
Is that a dream?
Well, I said a flower. I don't know, maybe not a flower, but like let's
Anything
just say a
physical.
smaller object
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you just.
But is that
The
a
whole
dream?
dream was based on this object, and
That's
you
crazy.
wake up
That's
and
a good
that
question.
object is there.
But is that a dream?
Before
She said, "Is it a dream?" though.
But is it a dream if you're actually pulling?
You go to
something
bed.
out into the
You go to
physical
bed. You go to bed at night, and you wake up the following morning, and that object is there.
But maybe it wasn't a dream.
So how
Maybe it was a spirit.
I
How
think
attainable
before we
is
can
it?
answer that, we need to define what is a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
So what if you're traveling? What if you're astral
That's what I'm
projecting
saying, but maybe it wasn't
during
a
sleep
dream.
and you go get something and bring it back?
People do that astrally.
That's not it.
No.
That's not it.
To me, my
Just a question. Just a
of
question.
dream is something. I don't know. Everybody's different.
What'd you
When
say? What'd you say, Kim?
Everybody's mind is different. We don't all have the same mind. We think differently. Okay. When I have dreams, it's because I need clarification. Okay. So if I need the universe, I need God or whoever, before I'll be manifesting for days. For days, I would be sitting in here meditating, asking the universe to give me vision, asking God, please let me see this. I need to know this. Please, universe, please let this come forth to me. And then I have my dream.
Oh.
Now,
I have my answer.
yes.
I have an answer in that dream. And that's because the universe is responding to me, and God is talking to me.
Right,
and it's up to me to listen. If you don't listen, it defeats the whole purpose of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have
I've
to.
had
There's a
dreams
level
where-
of submission. There's a level of submission.
Right.
But at the same time, it goes back to what I said before. We have an entire forgotten relationship with this realm.
Right.
And this is the best way we interface with it, with terms like dream. It's just a
Right.
term. It's just a term. But this is the best way for us to rationalize these experiences, and we're throwing around these terms and trying to explain it. But the bottom line is we have a whole nother reality. There's a veil that separates that. So when Kim says, I'm asking for clarity on something, the interface is, okay, by segue, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to get my answer. That's one way of interfacing with the unseen. Some people can go into meditation and have visions.
Right.
Some people can just, they can look into a bowl of water and see visions. Some people use crystal balls. However you interface with the other side, it's a tool used for that.
But you got to be careful to not negate the bigger picture. For like Kim, going back to your Wi-Fi analogy, right? What you're doing is you got Wi-Fi, but you have a VPN directly to, you have a tunnel that is only acknowledging the things that you ask for. So you're only going to receive what you asked for. You got blinders on to everything else that is, because it's coming, it's all coming, but you're ignoring it subconsciously because you're only waiting to hear the answer to your question. So you kind of have like a VPN directly to whatever that question was. And so you can't negate the fact that you still are open to all these other things. Like you say you may not dream, maybe you just don't remember, or maybe dreams are not how things come to you. So
you know, I think with Kim, that I think Kim is what made me say maybe spirit communicates with you, or the universe will communicate with you in a way that, like, you know, like, because me, when I dream, usually it's for somebody else, like other people, like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe she doesn't dream, and because if she could hear her heartbeat and, you know, hear her blood running through her, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, and when she does actually dream, it's like, that's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
exactly. Maybe she doesn't, but when she does, that is her reception. So, but she has learned, or innately she's programmed herself to just not dream, because her dreams are how she receives her answers.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
So anything else would just cloud and clutter.
I get what you're saying.
Your manifestation. Like when you're sitting and you're manifesting these things, you know, your vehicle to that manifestation usually is a dream. So if you have other dreams, they're going to cloud and, you know, get everything all mixed up. So your dreams are specifically to connect you with that manifestation. So your dreams are few and far between, but that doesn't mean that, you know, somebody else might dream more. Also, to your point, health. I don't know if you guys touched on that, but health plays a huge role in this. You don't dream a lot. You're super restful. You must be really healthy, right? So I know I'm a diabetic, and just paying attention to how my health has gotten worse over the years, that also manifests itself in my connection to the spiritual world, right? So all things are connected, and I don't sleep very well. To your point, you said, you know, how it takes 2 hours to go to sleep. Because I'm a diabetic, I have to always get up and piss at night, right? So I'm up every hour and a half. But in between those, I never get to that deep sleep, which is probably why I dream a lot. So health also probably plays a big role in your connection to your inner self.
Wow.
Yeah, to add on to that, like I got friends who have sleep apnea, right? Really bad. They don't dream. And one of the reasons why they don't, well, I say if they do, but it's very seldom. They don't dream as often as the average individual. This is boiled down to what Chico's saying about health. There's different phases in the sleep process. Like you have the theta, you have the delta, and depending on how far you can go in your process of resting, is going to dictate what you're able to do.
Yeah.
Some people say they went to sleep, but they're not even resting because they can't even get to that state. Some people could get to that state. And when you are resting, you're typically not dreaming. Your astral body is traveling.
Exactly.
Always. But you don't have a recollection of that because you're not aware. You're not having a astral projection experience where you are leaving consciously and you're aware of the entire process and experience as you travel. But your astral body is disconnected from this and going and you know, doing what it's doing, whether you are aware of it or not. That is happening. That's
what you have to be super in tune to get to that point. Well,
right.
To control getting to that point.
And it's always bringing information back. And sometimes things occur in our waking state, and it runs, it can run into something you've brought back from the astral plane, and you don't even really know how you got the information because you didn't do anything formally that you can remember how you got or arrived at that particular point of knowing something. But there's tons of information and tons of experiences that you've had that you're not even aware of because you can't remember you've had these experiences, but they are occurring. which brings me to something I wanted to share. Well, two things I wanted to share. The last time we had the show, Kim talked about this individual that she was around. They had a low frequency, and it caused her to have that. We talked about the sleep paralysis thing, or the witch riding your back thing, and you was explaining how you had been in the presence of somebody with a very low frequency, and that kind of rubbed off on you and caused you to have some disturbances in that area of that sleep paralysis thing, and you knew spiritually from what you have been taught how to deal with that and how to mediate that. You said you were prepared next time that came, and you knew what to do, and you knew why you were being attacked because of who you had been around. You might want to go back and watch that show, but yeah, you shared that. But funny thing, after that show, I was around someone and very low frequency. And he's like my brother, but he's going through some things. And I normally see him at my barbershop. He'll come and get a haircut. And I've been knowing him for a very long time. But like I said, he's going through some things. And I know spiritually what's going on. But like you said, how do you have a conversation with somebody who won't really receive it well? But we've had that conversation, me and him, since then. But anyhow, long story short, he came by my house one day and sat for maybe like an hour, talking, chat, whatever. He leaves. Now, keep in mind, I'm a very spiritual aware person. So people don't come to my home. I don't have visitors.
Right.
If somebody shows up at my door, I'm probably going to answer the door or go to the door in a somewhat preparedness manner, because people just won't come to my door, especially not without me not knowing that they are coming. But nobody comes. But anyway, he leaves that very night. And keep in mind, I don't have these issues. I had these issues in my adolescence. I've cultivated myself enough to protect my energy, and I know exactly what to do to mediate things like this. That night, I go to sleep, and it's an astral experience. I'm not going to get into all the details of who I encountered and what I saw, but there was a concentrated effort to trap me, right? Here's the thing. When that brother came to my house, we had that conversation about what I felt that was going on with him and how I would help him if he wanted the help. When I mentioned that I was going to help him, someone or something did not like that.
Right.
So I became the target. I became the target. And sure enough, that night, it went down. And long story short, I was laying in my bed, and after I saw what I needed to see, encountered who I need to encounter, everything that was going on, because I'm summing it up. I don't want to get too heavy into all of that. I can literally feel an entity. I was sleeping on my my stomach. I can literally feel someone literally sit on my back. And I have like a king size bed, but it has the memory, the foam. It's like sleeping on a cloud. I can feel the indenture of the feet and the hands pushed down into the bed.
Wow.
And I knew that there was someone there holding me down, literally like, you're not moving. So when this occurred, I literally knew that someone was there. I was like, what the hell? So then I keep an orgone pendant always on my presence. I don't know if you guys can see that. Orgone pendants are designed to neutralize EMF, electrical short radio wave or electrical frequencies from devices, and it also has black tourmaline in it, which at the front of it, it has sacred geometry. What it does is it basically keeps things from attaching to my aura field. It neutralizes them and grounds it. Kind of keeps, it's like a shield. Never take this thing off, ever. Keep it on. That night, I'm having this experience, and whatever it was like, nigga, you ain't moving. And I can feel it, you know, just kind of sitting like this, sitting on me. And I said to it literally, I said, you have no power here, so be gone. And when I said that, I literally saw this pendant falling. And as it's falling, I'm reaching out to try to catch it. And it hits the tip of my fingers and it falls. So I'm never able to actually catch it. As soon as I saw that, automatically, whatever it was gone. Soon as I jumped up, I reached around my neck. It wasn't there. I said, ain't this a bitch? Got up, found it, put it back on, and did some work, what I needed to do. Never had a problem since. Was gone. I said, I need to share this with them.
Oh, God.
It was very interesting. But it was one of those situations where I definitively knew that I was being targeted. It wasn't an if, and, or but about it. I was being targeted, and it came for me because I wasn't supposed to offer help. Now, keep in mind what's been going on with this individual. For years, I've had my theories of what's going on and, you know, what he should do. But I kind of stayed out of that. But I was like, for me to be an asset to you, I have to be transparent to say, hey, this is what I think is going on. He was receptive. He was like, okay, what do you think I should, you know, we've had this idea bounce around, but we never talked about it. So yeah, after that night, it came for me and I had to do what I had to do and zip, zoom. And no more problems. No more problems whatsoever. I was shown some things. And typically when I'm shown things, I get up and I'm Googling, I'm looking shit up, looking up plants and things that I was shown and the whole nine. So you have to get up and do your homework when, you know, you're shown things. But I've never had a problem since. And I don't even have these type of problems at all. So, that's why I knew I was definitively targeted.
So dude, what do you do after that? See, like when people I don't like people in my house. I very rarely have people over, but when I do, I'm always like, when I'll cleanse my house before they come. And then when people leave, I cleanse my house after. And then I will shower and do a shower cleanse and, you know, and all that before I go to bed. So what happened since then? What do you do to protect yourself?
You have surface things that you can do. Just like, you know how you bathe? Bathe is like when you bathe, that's something that you're supposed to do just as a human being to keep your physical body clean. It's a necessity and you're supposed to do it, but it's still considered a basic necessity. But then you got heavy duty shit that you need to do when you have stubborn things that don't want to budge. That's when you have to really get into you know, real heavy duty work, because there is one of the greatest shows that I've ever seen in my life dealing with the occult is Supernatural. Supernatural is the bomb because they go into everything that you can possibly encounter and how they, you know, deal with it. But it's more or less the science of how the universe is structured when you're dealing with sacred geometry, shapes and sigils and signs and all of that type of stuff. It's a science to learn because as you go up in vibration, physicality changes, the rules changes.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So how you deal with things on a high vibration, that methodology has to change also. So people think, okay, so I saged and I did this, and that may work on some low level you know, stuff. But as your vibration goes up, and keep in mind, just because a vibration speeds up does not mean that it may or may not be something that may mean you harm. That simply means that the vibration is high enough where these things reside. Even the lower planes of the astral world is a higher vibration. But it's considered a lower plane once you get there. Makes sense?
It's levels.
Yeah.
Definitely levels.
So just to get to the astral plane, you have to go to a higher frequency from physicality. But once you get there, you still can be at the bottom of that fucking realm. And there are entities that reside in the lower frequencies. So what you have to do is change that vibration as soon as possible. And fear is a very easy frequency to tap into. As soon as you tap into fear, that's going to zip you where you don't want to be. Instantly. Awesome. This is why Chico says he's a superhero in the astral plane, because he now is completely aware that he's in control. When you feel like you're not in control, you are fearful.
Then you open yourself up to a whole different plane.
And they just pop in, zip, 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 like a radio frequency. This is why when you go to the astral plane and people have undesirable experiences and they say, well, I call on the Lord and it went away. You know why that worked? Because that word is associated with a higher frequency. So it was a word of power. Had nothing to do with the actual person. It's just that now you vibrated on something that was higher, and it basically took you from one point to the next point in frequency, and that those things can't exist in a higher vibration. So instantly it's gone. That's just how it works. Regardless of what I've called on Ra, I've dealt with Egyptian deities and the whole nine. They all work. Hell, an ice cream cone. If it's a higher vibration for you and you worship ice cream and you go to the astral plane and you having problems, hey,
that's your weapon of choice.
Yeah, call on Chocolate Scoop, and Chocolate Scoop will come and whip everybody ass.
That's it.
That's just how it works.
That's it.
That's crazy. You know what?
It's all frequency.
But Tasha, just come to anything I gotta block, I don't want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have never welcomed anybody in my space that I know I had to purge them or clean them afterwards.
Right.
Because I knew they were no good for me. You know what I'm saying? When you have that feeling, okay, I don't have nobody come to my house.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you. My girlfriend was here. Christine was here 5 weeks ago. She came, stayed with me a night. She probably was the probably third female of my friends that I call my sisters. I don't even call them my friends no more. They sisters.
Right.
That was in my house probably since COVID. I may have had between the three of my main girlfriends in my house since COVID. Like, since we feel safe now to kind of, whatever. Other than that, I don't let nobody else in my house at all. Because if my house is already cleansed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Already prepped. My house already has the necessary defenses that anything that crossed my threshold, you ain't gonna even come.
Right.
It's so you're not gonna come.
No, that's true. If you fortify your living space properly, people they can't even, and the weird thing that the individual that I spoke of, his mate won't enter into my home. So y'all do the knowledge on that.
Listen,
Won't at all. So I already know what's going on with that. But yeah, yes, it's you have to when you evolve on this path, you have to start living your life accordingly to these principles because they're going to benefit you more. And like Chico said, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. So you can't act like you don't know no better.
Right.
Especially when things start happening to you. It's like, okay, whose fault was that?
Yeah.
Whose fault was that? You know better. So you have to start fortifying your life, your circle, your family, your kids. And sometimes your kids don't even understand all this, but you got to protect them when they don't even realize they need protecting.
You know,
come here, let me do this. Come here, let me do that. Let me put this on you. You know, what is that? Don't worry about it.
Until listening to Kim, I like Chico said earlier that he's like a hermit, but like I really don't want people in my space. And when it comes time to like even do family things, it's kind of like I really don't. I had a friend and we were friends since high school, early high school, and because of just vibes and energy and just different, like I cut off. Like it's like I don't know. Maybe I'm a low-key hermit or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe you just grew.
I don't like. I mean, I really don't really have people come over. That's what I'm saying. And when they do, I don't know if it's me. It's like I automatically like if for some reason somebody has to come over, I'm like laying in the house, I'm just doing whatever, protecting myself. Like my cousin came over, and she needed to come over for whatever reason. She just moved out here, and I knew I did whatever to prep myself. As soon as she walked through the door, she was like, "Oh my God, it's so peaceful." She was like, as soon as I walked through your door, I just had this peace come over me.
Yeah, people.
And I was like, Mom, I'm glad you feel that way.
I don't even want company.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah,
but you know, at the same token, like I said, I don't like people in my space. I don't like to let people over. But as soon as she left, I was like, oh, I gotta clean. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I don't know what kind of residual she left over here because of all the shit she was going through. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't know. I just
spiritual awareness 101.
It's a rough. Let me tell you, like when you really get deep into, like I love the metaphysical teachings. Like that's where, like I feel like that's where I belong. I love metaphysics and I love candle magic. So they say candle magic. Like some people, it's like they taboo when they be like, "Oh my God, magic! Oh God, you voodoo! Oh, you mentioned the devil!"
Right.
Everything's magic. Everything is magic.
Everything is magic for sure.
Everything.
I had a woman tell me one time. This is back in the day when I was a little PTA mom. And we was just sitting around talking, and she was like, "Oh my God, are you gonna be ready for the 3 days of darkness?" And I'm looking at her, I'm like, "What the hell is the 3 days of darkness?" Put me on something. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna need a bunch of white natural candles." That's natural. She said, "Yeah, pure wax. Pure wax. You got to get pure wax." And she said, "We're going to go into a thing of darkness for 3 days." And she said, "You're going to hear all types of shit going on outside your house." And she said, "Don't open the door. Don't you look out the window. Don't you do nothing." And she said, "You get those 3 pure white candles and you make sure you burn them in your house because that's going to be your source of light."
This is wait, pause for the cause. She's telling you that this is gonna happen, or
telling me this is going to happen.
Okay, go ahead.
Didn't tell me when it's gonna happen, but she said when it happened, honey, you better be prepared. You better be prepared. And I was young. I was probably like 28.
Did it happen?
I said, God, yeah, I need to get these candles. I need to start dealing in these candles because this was going to give me my source of light. So I started, I love candles. I got a candle burning right now. It's a scented candle, a little Yankee candle or whatever, but I love candles.
But did the 3 days of darkness happen?
It hasn't happened, but in the event that any event that it does, I've been warned about it. I've been taught about it. Somebody's aware of me about the type of candles that I needed to have in my house. And I always make sure moving forward from when she told me that, whether it was a little tea light, whether it was whatever, I always made sure that I always had white candles, just candles in my house, period.
Was that your introduction to candle magic when that occurred?
That was my okay. So my introduction to candle magic came from a white lady, a white woman that I worked with. Me and her was very close. I mean, we was very, very close, and she was actually she was an Italian, but she was a gypsy. Her family, her bloodline ran from gypsies. Okay. So she indulged in dark magic. Okay. I don't want nothing to do with dark magic. Dark magic is really kind of like, dark magic is what some would say is called peasant magic. Okay. It's more back in medieval times where they were very, very poor and things like that. And they, you know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, that's a whole nother topic, Dre, with dark magic and things like that. Dealing with gypsies and, all of that stuff, the gypsy magic, which is, that's real sorcery. Kabbalah. Kabbalism stems from all of that and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Look at you.
The real high power magic. Okay. Right. So anyway.
So let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all ever find that some of the things that you practice just being yourself, and then you later come to find out that, I was supposed to be doing this, like cleanses? I'll give you an example. Since 1991, literally, I've only worn frankincense and myrrh.
I remember you saying that on the last show.
Yeah.
And then when I get up in the morning, not even knowing that I was performing a ritual, I light an incense with me in the bathroom when I get ready in the morning, take a shower and all that stuff. So do you guys ever find that you do some of these things innately and then later find out through your research and studying and on your journey that this is something that you should have been doing anyway, but you've just been doing it automatically?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it becomes. Go ahead.
Nothing wrong with rituals. It's people think that when you talk, it's weird that people think, when you talk about rituals, it's black, it's voodoo.
But they don't understand, like, even when you're praying,
a brainwash. That's because
your prayers,
brainwashed.
Your prayers in church are just spells,
right?
So, we just put labels on shit and get scared of it, but it's all the same thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's why I said that life as we know it is magical in essence. It's just that I'm not gonna say it's sad, but you have certain people in high places who utilize a high level of magic to pretty much run this this thing that they got going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to understand that fortifying your life by being conscious of even just our language and the words we use are magical, and people don't realize that There's power in all of that. And
Yeah.
people are doing a lot of things by default and putting themselves in harm's way by default. This is why ignorance of a lot of things, like, and Chico probably can co-sign this, that a lot of stuff that came across my spiritual desk, I never turned away. I didn't have to practice it, but I definitely was going to learn as much as I could about it. And this goes back to my family, because my aunts and them would talk about things that were done in my family to certain family members magically with roots and things like that. And in hindsight, with me, my philosophy that I adopted was learn everything that I can get my hands on, because I will be well equipped going into any situation. Because I feel like if traps are set for you and you can't recognize it, it is what it is.
Done. You done.
Right.
You
it is what it is.
That happened on like every step of your journey. So, for example, masonry, right? Freemasonry.
Yeah.
Again, from early, we used to sit at Miss Butler's house and we studied and we built and, you know, thought we knew everything we could know. But once I was maybe 20, and I went in early too, 23, 22, something like that. I had an opportunity. To go to a white lodge.
Right.
And I unlearned everything. I went in blind simply because I knew what I read. I knew what I studied. I know what I know, but I wanted to see what was the big secret. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are they hiding? And what is so big about, Prince Hall and then Free and Accepted? What is the difference? So I had an opportunity and I went in, but I went in as if I knew nothing. Right. So you talk about traps. There were certain things that were happening that I was like, oh, I read about this. Okay. So, but I went in ignorant to a degree, right? But then I was prepared for the things that were to come. So you have to study everything. Study everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I was fortunate that when I took that journey, I went in under a Kemetic foundation, like
that's sweet.
Right.
And it was an experience that I was fortunate. And I'm not gonna say I was fortunate. That I was supposed to go through that. I went, and when I took that journey, it was all based on Kemetic sciences. We didn't use a biblios. We had the Book of Light, or the Book of the Dead, coming forth by day. So I had an opportunity to get some things from an ancestry perspective. So when dealing with the craft from a European perspective, it was like, that's child's play.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's child's play.
Yeah.
But I understand why it's intriguing to a lot of people, because like you said, what's the big secret?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know what the big secret is.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually got the secret before I got anything else. But I had elders who vouched for me, who said, they just basically one day is like, look, come here, because they observed me. You one of those students that I had a burning desire to want to know. I don't give a fuck what it was. I'm gonna be at you. Yep. That's why I tell people, if you have enlightened personalities in your presence, or family members, or whomever, who can impart knowledge and wisdom,
get
it. You won't always have that opportunity. I tell people that are close to me, use me as a resource. This information was given to me. I'm supposed to give it, to who's worthy around me. But you have to have a burning desire to want to know, because people are nosy. People really don't have a real drive to want to know.
Right.
I was one of those individuals. I was driven. I had to question myself, like, damn, Dre, why you on it like that? And I'm still on it like that. Every day I got to learn something about something. So I got the secret up front, because it wasn't really a secret, but it was a secret to
Careful.
It was a secret to those who, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of knew that, but I didn't know that. And what happened was that made me appreciate how I went in, who I was around, the things that I've learned. Those things would never be done in that manner again, because my particular lodge or temple doesn't even exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore.
wow.
But it should have also made you appreciate all of the Egyptian and esoteric teachings that you have experienced. Well, I don't know when, but along your journey, when you were studying like ancient Egypt and and everything that's encompassed in that,
It all came together.
It all came together. Yes.
It all came together.
Yeah.
And it gave me a God complex at first. We go through that. You get the God complex.
Yep.
You can't tell me shit.
Exactly.
You can't tell me nothing.
Exactly.
But I had to grow out of that. I had to outgrow that because that was my ego.
Your ego's getting in the way. Yep.
Yeah. I had to let that go. And but yeah, it's a journey that I wouldn't, if I could do it all over again, I would. And I'm thankful. So, but anybody got any other questions?
The ego is a big thing too, because that would, so like having gone through all this stuff early, right?
Yeah.
At some point in my life, it would have been hard for me to like come across maybe Dre when you started on your journey. It was a little later.
Yeah.
But my ego would be like, really? Like, that's what you're doing?
Yeah.
You want that now? So it was hard for me. That also alienated me from a lot of people and a lot of experiences I missed out on because of ego. Because I'm like, well, I've already been through these phases. I've already done this. It's a novelty. It's new and cute to you. I don't want to talk to you about it. But that's ego. That's ego.
That's ego. And that's one of the things that I learned about certain lodges.
Yes.
I got fed up with not my particular house that I went through, but I had other brothers that I was cool with that went through, the whole Prince Hall thing and this, that, and the third. And my thing was this: even within the craft, I wanted to know the deeper meanings of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to know what was the next layer.
Yep.
I was driven by that and that alone. All the cute stuff, it was cool in the beginning. You get to look, and we were like fly, because when you go through the Kemetic or the Egyptian thing, that's how we was rocking it. So you get dressed up, you fly. I mean, nobody did it like us.
Yeah, but
the thing was, I got tired of dealing with brothers who I sincerely love, but their egos got so big.
Yeah,
they wasn't concerned with the spiritual aspect and going forward. They were concerned with rank and stuff like that. And I asked one of the brothers one day, one of my elders, I was like, how do you change this? Like, how do you fix this? And he was like, it's going to take brothers like yourself to create lodges, and you have to teach differently.
Right.
You have to be responsible and change it.
Right.
It has to be changed from the inside.
Yep.
That's the only way that's going to change.
Yep.
Because this craft is supposed to transform men back into gods. And that's not just philosophical.
Yeah.
That's a way of life. We talking diet. We talking breathing.
Yep.
We talking, getting more control of your mind. We talking meditation. We talking the real shit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is not a lot of these pockets of schools, they're not on that. Right. It's more or less a social thing. Let's be social. Yeah. Let's look good. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it feeds the ego. The only way that's going to change, you're going to have to start your thing, and you're going to have to give it back the way it was given to you.
Yeah.
We got to go back into teaching in secrecy. We put too much on Front Street.
Yeah.
We're giving the I'm not gonna say the enemy. I use terms like the challenge, because they're just a challenge to us. You're giving the challenge calculated blueprints on how you're gonna move, so they can. It's like a cosmic chess game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's like a cosmic chess game. So you're giving up your movements here. You got to win at this.
Yeah.
So, you got to go back into teaching into secrecy, and things have to become secret and sacred like they were before.
Right.
And for good reason. Everything is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I said the next phase that we're gonna go through in this thing, it's gonna be a sifting of those who made it past the first wave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't get too comfortable.
Mhm.
Like, I'm good. You're doing your little dance because the next challenge is gonna be way worse. Believe
That's
it. Believe
true.
it. So we
But-
got to make it past that.
To circle back to your original question, the most difficult part is actually ego for me. Putting ego aside, because once you're able to put ego aside, you're that much more prepared.
Oh,
Actually-
you said you were petty.
Yeah, super petty.
You
I
said
know.
you were
From
petty,
Yeah.
from a comedic perspective, the ego represented by Set. Set was, I'm pretty sure you guys know the story, but Set and Horus, they represented two faculties of our consciousness. One was the aspiring warrior, the spiritual warrior of the gods. Really, he was a culmination of everybody. Horus was that. He was the spiritual knight, the warrior. His aspirations were to ascend, and his uncle was him, but it was his ego side. And Set and Horus battled to destroy each other. We're talking about two gods here. You got the deeper meaning of it, and then you got the myth. But these people are fighting and trying to destroy each other, and they can't because they're both powerful. But Horus has to go get with mom wisdom to figure out how to deal with his uncle, because he can't kill him because they're both powerful. Long story short, his uncle was brought into submission. And in that submission, his uncle was ordered to perform a task for all eternity. And that task is to bring your ego under your submission and let it work for you to keep you safe. But it is not supposed to be in the driver's seat.
Yes.
So Set was ordered to protect Ra's boat, his celestial boat, and to fight back Apophis for all eternity. So our ego is a tool that we're supposed to use. We battle with it all the time. That's Horus and Set. They battling for supremacy. One wants to be in the driver's seat. One wants to tell you what to do and how to look and how to feel. It's your ego. But you need it.
You do
It
need
keeps
it,
you safe.
but you have to learn where it belongs. You got to prioritize.
Exactly. And that's why the gods ordered Set to protect Ra's boat for all eternity, to keep Apophis at bay. Apophis is that aspect of the universe, or that force of entropy that breaks things down and destroys things constantly. So there's always a force of entropy at work in life. You build anything, it's going to start breaking down, and your job is to maintain it up, and then it's going to start breaking down. That's everything. So, but anyway,
Build and destroy.
I digress. Good show. Good show.
Oh.
Anybody have any more questions before we close this out? Now was the time.
Nope.
Yeah.
Very, very
I
good.
mean, I could talk about this for days, but I do have a
No.
time limit.
I know. One more question, maybe?
It's very good.
Go ahead, Chico. Ask one more question.
Good for the soul.
Yeah.
So, as far as the occult goes,
Yeah.
did you satisfy that need, that yearning for knowledge, and then go off on your own?
Yes. What happened was I got fed up with the feeding of the ego. I addressed the higher ups about it, and I was informed to change it from the inside, which I did not have the patience to do because I didn't want to deal with brothers' egos like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one day I went to a vegetarian food fair, the Black Vegetarian Society here in Atlanta. They don't even have that anymore. This is like back in the 90s.
Wow.
And while I'm there was a table set up, and the brother had all of these Egyptian books. It was dope. So of course I gravitated towards the books, so I go over and I'm looking at them. And a lot of the books dealt with Kemetic yoga, Kemetic diet, meditation, how to raise your Kundalini energy. And it was dealing with the higher sciences of Kemetic philosophy. I was like, this is the shit I've been looking for. This is the next phase. Start talking to the brother, and he said, yeah, we got classes, right? So long story short, me and my mate at the time became the first 2 students in the Atlanta chapter for that particular temple. And it started with 3 people here in Atlanta, and then it grew. The guy who's over the particular temple, his name is Sabama, or Dr. Muwada Ashby. You probably have seen his books. He lives in Miami. We started the Atlanta chapter of the House of Heru, or the Perdim Heru. And as it grew, we were like the founding members of this particular house.
Really?
Sabama, as we call him, came into Atlanta because we had a conference, and I was able to get initiated, got my Kemetic name at the time, and we went through that's when I went through that particular initiation to bring me up to speed far as the science of Kemetic philosophy was concerned.
Right.
The lodge is going to teach you a lot of symbolism and some stories and things. I was now in the practical element of the science project, and I was happy. And it wasn't easy. Because we're talking, at that time, I was a vegan. I ate mostly raw foods. I had locks then. Like, the whole vibe was different. And this was my spiritual birth into a spiritual way of life on a daily basis. Learned about meditation. I had to learn about yoga. I had to learn about different chakras and how it all tied in Kemetically, and how our ancestry interfaced in this. You hear a lot of this stuff coming out of India and this, like that, and the third. Cute doggy.
I was about to say that. I was waiting for you to finish.
But yeah, this was the next phase that I was looking for. So I kind of just gravitated away from the craft and went into my next phase, and it was just a beautiful thing, And one thing about that next phase, he always taught us about the ego first before we even enter into, because there's 3 levels to the temple. There's 3 levels. Getting back to the 3 again, but in Kemetic philosophy, those 3 levels of the temple, that first level is where the aspirant or the initiate may go and spend X amount of years just cleaning, just doing the mundane before he's ever even given the chance to go to the next level. And that's all explained while you're going through this process. And of course, I had a speed up version of this, but it all made sense. It made the craft make better sense. Once I learned how our ancestors really laid it out.
But see, that's why it's important, like you said earlier, to learn what you can, because you never know when it's going to come in handy. You had to backtrack and be like, oh, okay, well, this connects to this. So every piece of information that you get your hands on, every religion, anything, I just was a consumer of knowledge.
Right.
You know what that just reminded me of? You guys ever watch Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How his life just kind of like at the end, that whole game and everything, like he remembered, piecing things. Yeah.
So at that stage, I look back on the craft and I had conversation with brothers, and I was like, there's a whole nother level you guys have no idea exist. And it puts all of this in perspective. And the beauty of it is it puts you as a melanated individual in place of all of this. Like, you're an intricate part of it all.
Man.
That's the big secret. Like, you are all of these things. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
You're the temple.
Yeah.
You're the one. And
Man.
I learned that when I got into the deeper spiritual aspects of the craft, and Saberma laid it out great. And then once I graduated, it's like, okay, go out into the world and become a teacher and teach and all of that jazz. And they always used to tell me, like, Ani would be a great teacher because he was always humble. Even if I didn't agree with something, I never caused a problem. I kind of like, okay, I understand that. I'll hold on to that. But I gave my teacher the utmost respect and let him teach.
Right.
And he appreciated that. Mm-hmm. But when it was all done, it's like, okay, now go. You go out into the world, and, this is what our ancestry brought you back for. This is what you're supposed to be doing. From that phase, I met my next teacher and my last teacher. I don't know if you guys know Bobby Hemmett, but that's my last occult. Mm-hmm. He was the occult piece. If you know Bobby Hemmett, he's a occult master. Mm-hmm. That's who bought all the occult stuff, and it came full circle. Everything came full circle.
So where do you think you are now in your journey, in terms of physical being, right? So do you think you're somewhere in the middle, or do you think you'll leave here a couple more times and ascend to that place you're supposed to be in another physical being?
I think I've asked that question, and how it's explained to me that the best gauge that you have for your spiritual grade and where you are in your evolution, look at your life now. Look at where you are now. And that is the measuring tool for where you are compared to others. Now, I would consider us being farther along the totem pole than the average person. The thing is, because there's certain degrees within, like when I went through my initiation in the Purdom Heru, there were certain degrees where you had to learn how to practice detachment. That's not easy. You got a lot of shit you are attached to.
Yeah.
That's a degree that you have to master. Degree of detachment. You have to master a degree of selflessness. These are spiritual attributes for the student on a spiritual path. That shit ain't easy. Being selfless and being detached.
Right.
Detached,
so when
detached
you ask,
is a hard one.
yeah. So when you ask that question, so when you ask that question, I know I'm probably coming back because I haven't gotten to a full level of detachment. And you got two aspects of detachment. You got the detachment that's here, like you can tell yourself you detached. And then you have the detachment that's here, where you feel it, like you're still, like, I rationalize a lot of things because I understand the science, but here is a different thing.
That's right.
So that with that, I can use that as a line, a measuring tool to say, okay, there's some things I still have to burn out that may send me back. If I come back, at least I may have just a little bit more. You have some babies that are born that transition after being here maybe 24 hours.
Right.
That's all they needed in the physical world to complete their evolution.
That's it.
And they out of here.
Damn, that's it. Yeah.
Some stayed 36 hours. Some
that's
stayed,
what they needed.
1-2 years, and then they out of here. That's all they needed to come back and complete their evolution, and they on to the next. And that's the beauty of the Purdom Hair Rule, because it taught me to put life in perspective. Ain't too much I question at all, because it gives you the intricate details of how this shit works, like a big ass machine. And there's no reason to question too much, because people don't understand that past life experiences are dictating or have dictated what you are experiencing now. And what you do now is setting the stage for your next incarnation. A lot of people don't know that science. So by default, they go through a bunch of what we consider bullshit.
Right.
But one thing my teacher told us is, like, once you get this science, now you become 100% responsible for every fucking thing.
Yeah. Everything you do.
Everything
you do.
You have no excuse.
Yeah.
None.
Gotta act accordingly. So
yeah.
And sometimes that's a heavy burden to bear, man.
It is.
That's some real shit right
That's
there.
why I would never suggest starting this journey young.
Right.
Because it's heavy. It's heavy.
He says that, there's a lot of students who start the journey and then they get sent back into the world. And they go back into the world and they have an even more harder time, because now you've been equipped to a degree of knowing better. And now shit becomes harder because now you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now it sends you back into the temple to pick up where you left off. And they be back and forth until they burn it out and then they get it.
Damn. Yeah.
It's a process.
There. Yes, it is.
Relationships falter, marriages falter, all sorts of things. They falter. Yeah.
That gotta be a rough transition. You know what I'm saying? To keep being thrown back out.
It's rough, but it's necessary.
Yeah, like I would.
You know how the world be calling you. You gotta get back out there. And
I'm just so happy that whatever battles that I gotta fight, I fight them.
Right.
I fight them. Boom. I move on, and I learn.
Right.
I learn. I don't have to learn a second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth time.
Right.
I ain't gonna front. I've been where I had to go a second time.
That's natural.
Good. Look, after that, I'm done.
Yeah.
And boom, I keep it moving forward.
But see, the beauty in that is,
Yes.
That's the beauty, So you have the ability to say, okay, I know I've been here a second time. I'm not going to do it a third. I'm going to move on. Some people, they just they got to burn it out. They got to burn it out and keep, and that's a deep thing, because one of the things my teacher always taught us was that, when you came here to experience things.
Mm-hmm.
Your higher self or your soul is going to compel you to have certain experiences. You can't override that. It's going to eat at you and eat at you and eat at you until you go see about that.
Right.
Whether it produce pain or pleasure is what you're going to have to deal with, but you gotta go do that to get past it. That's why you're here. You can't act like, and some people create self-imposed prisons for themselves because they're fighting against something that's driving them to have a particular experience, and they just won't let that shit go. They just won't. And they're in turmoil. We were in a men's we were having a men's discussion about I think one of the brothers said, he has this urge to step out of his circle with his wife, right? And he said, "Say, Mom, I'm having these experiences of wanting to step outside of that circle and have a different experience other than my wife." Say, Mom says, "Look, I'm not here to tell you to do that. I'm not even here to tell you not to do it. I'm here to tell you that whatever it is, as far as your higher self, is compelling you to have a particular experience. Now, if you decide to do that, it's either going to produce something that's pleasurable or painful. You got to get to that point, and whatever that is, you learn and you move on." but you have to have an experience to graduate. This is one of the reasons why people have I've met brothers who don't really gel well with the Indian philosophy. They like the Indian philosophy, but they don't like certain principles of certain practices because it negates you having a mate, right?
Yeah.
They say that's not African. You can't become whole without having a mate physically. It's like two halves to a whole. As an African, we understood that principle spiritually.
Yeah.
Any sciences that promotes that not being a thing is not holistic in nature. Kind of like nuns and priests.
Yeah.
And it creates a perversion. When you suppress that, it creates a perversion.
Yeah. As we know to be true.
Exactly. That's a byproduct of that.
Yes, it is.
But anyway. Okay. Any more questions?
We might have to have a part 4, man.
A part Is it a part 4? The Urban Spiritual Journey, man, has been such a well received group of shows. That's why I kept them going. And yeah, man, it's people see them and it's like things that people feel within their being, but they don't really have a Saban Ma always talked about having good association.
Right.
On a spiritual journey, like you said, it's lonely. He said good association is a necessity that you need on your travel, because you're just now associating with people that are on the journey with you. You're still taking that journey by yourself, but you're associating with people who are experiencing the same thing. So good association is very important when you start that spiritual journey and you're on it, because it's definitely one and alone.
It really is, man. And if I didn't have one other person along this whole journey, I probably would have been crazy. I probably would have been like, not crazy, but because I talked to homeless people, like, sometime on the street, especially when I was like DJing out late at night. I would pack up everything and I would just talk to them. And they're not crazy, but I'm pretty sure had I not had someone to talk to like that, I would have been right there with them.
I'm
and happy.
Right. Where's Tasha at? She talking about, yes, we need a part 4.
She just jumped off. Now she's typing.
Right. I thought I need a part 4. What else she say? I want to talk about spiritual signs and being aware of them.
Right. Yes. I was going to say, to what Tasha said, especially like the gifts, like what, and, oh, never mind.
It's not always easy to be aware of.
Yeah, we'll that's something we can definitely entertain. I'm like Cheek, man. I can talk for hours. I love it's hardwired into me. So this is just a part of my being, and
those spiritual
I can go for a long time. A very long time. And I love to learn. Like,
that's what
when I'm learning, I ain't talking. That's one thing about me. When I'm around people who are imparting some wisdom and some knowledge, I'm like zip. I love it. It's like reading a book.
I need to surrender. I think the hardest thing is knowing what you're supposed to do.
The hardest thing is knowing what you're supposed to do
and battling with yourself on doing it. You know what I mean?
That's that fear thing. And, we talked about that.
Yeah, I know.
I get it. And that's perfectly normal.
You know what you're supposed to do. And it's just.
I think in your case, and in Tasha's case, I think you guys are fearful of how powerful you are.
Yep.
I think that's what that is.
For me,
The funny thing is,
not really not really. I think it's just the whole.
I think once you jump in the pool you're gonna be like, I should have did this shit a long time ago.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
More than likely that's probably what it's gonna be. But yeah.
Yep.
Y'all better embrace that power, man. It's there. It's there. What you scared of?
I don't know. I don't even want to call it being scared, because like things happen, like
it's not fear in the sense of the traditional aspect of fear. It's deeper than that. It's way deeper than that, because it will cause a transformation.
Yeah, I think that
things won't be the same,
and it's
I think that's exactly
irreversible transformation.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like,
there's no going back.
It's like Neo in the Matrix. Like,
it really is.
If he chose to go and see what the Matrix was, he couldn't go back.
And
that's real.
I think you'll be held to a new level of responsibility or something, or some
of course.
You hold yourself to a higher level of responsibility.
Oh, yeah. You gotta be held responsible, because now it's like you're supposed to pick up the sword, but once you pick that sword up, you got to do something with it.
Yeah,
you have to do something with it.
Yeah,
I don't feel like it, I don't want to. No,
right.
You have to, because I'm gonna tell you about something, and I know somebody personally who did this. When your higher self has created this segue for you to evolve in your life through persons, places, and things, and it's bestowed all these things within you, and you decide you want to turn your back on it, you want to put it down, you want to say, you know what, I'm not fooling with this no more. Like, I know some people who got this knowledge and they went back in the church on some other stuff, right? That's cool, that's fine. The punishment for that is extreme. It is extreme. When you get this as a gift and you're supposed to live it and go do something with it, and you forsake it and go back and with the knuckle draggers and doing all the bullshit, oh, you're gonna get an ass whooping. It's like a parent. You're gonna get an ass whooping. It's gonna be extreme. Trust me.
But you know what? Like Dre, like if I have like a dream or that voice, like like it's not like I don't act. Maybe I don't act all the time. I kind of pick and choose. Maybe
gotta stop that.
Yeah, maybe I don't act all the time, but I do act. It's not like I'm saying like, oh, this doesn't exist, or I just don't do fully like what I'm supposed to do.
Well, all I gotta say is,
I'm just trying to figure out, like, but what is the fear?
I don't know. Dre just said it. I think maybe I don't even know. Like,
it's fear of the unknown. That's the reality.
The unknown of what though?
That's it.
What to do.
That's it.
You know what? I used an analogy.
That is it, Kim.
Yeah.
She's like, unknown of what?
That's it right there. That's it.
I don't even know. Yeah.
You know what's so crazy? I used this analogy the other day, and I said, have you ever had something so good? No. Have you ever like maybe known that you like something will be so fantastic or so good, and you want that, but at the same time you're afraid of to have that, like to get that.
You don't feel worthy.
It's not about worthy. It's not worthy. It's like, no. It's just almost like how the hell do I?
Is it like that? Don't meet your heroes thing. Like, you're afraid that you think it's going to be so spectacular and amazing, but then once you get it, it's not, and you're scared of that.
Once you get it's like almost like
it's like anticlimactic. Almost.
No, it's like it's
going to be the bomb, right?
It's going to be the bomb, and you like it's guaranteed to be the bomb, right? But you're afraid of that bomb.
Oh my God.
Okay. To be honest with you, I don't know where it's at. What's the bomb, and I don't know any of that, but if you're
I don't know, Kim. I
if you're
really don't.
afraid of it, then there's a reason to be afraid of it.
You know what? I think a lot of I haven't.
There's a reason to be afraid of it. That's just the truth. Because I'm trying to think if I ever been afraid of something.
Oh, damn.
Because it's not even like it's not like I remember being a kid and astral projecting and like walking through the house and like in and out my parents' room and you know my grandmother's room and all of these things. And even like what Dre was saying, like turning the lights off, like till this day, like I have to have like a light on. My TV's on, you know, but I turn the volume down just so it can be some like sort of, because I always had this thing, like when I was a kid, I couldn't be in the dark because I always felt like as soon as the lights went off, somebody walks right up on me, like close enough to where it's like they're not touching me, but I can feel their presence. You know,
the same thing I explained.
Felt people pass me and heard them say, you know, things, and just so it's just like
when you are spiritually open and you become hyper sensitivity when, like I said,
what it is.
The external world is so stimulating that those other senses are not able to really take hold of the environment, because they're always in the background. When you turn all the stimuli off, because I know I'm that person. In order for me to get rest and peace, I gotta have something to distract. Huh?
I said I've even seen people that weren't there.
That distracts my senses and keep them occupied, so my other senses don't kick in and take over. And then now I can't get rest because now everybody's like, oh, I'm over here, see me. And, you know, people want to get your attention, or things are standing there, or you become aware. So I get what you're saying.
You know, and I know, like, my mom tells me, like, I get it from my mother is a dreamer. Like, you know, she dreams something. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want my mother to dream anything and tell you she had a dream, because it's a problem. But my grandmother, I remember even at my son's christening, my oldest son is 30. At his christening, my grandmother was in her chair and my father was in Haiti. And my grandmother said their father just died. He just fell and collapsed. He was in the kitchen. He just fell and my mom's like, don't say that. Don't let them hear you say that, because, you know, that's not a nice thing to say. And that night we got a phone call that he just collapsed, and, like, you know what I mean? So my mom, 2 days ago, I don't think I told you that, Dre, but like 2 days ago, my mom said to me, like, you remind me so much of my mother. Like, you know what I'm saying? But nobody has ever, it's one thing to learn stuff on your own and just try to figure things out, but nobody has ever, like,
formally took the time
nothing. So it's like growing up, like, you have these things.
Okay, so
you think there's like a boogeyman or something, and you're like a big scaredy cat. You know what I mean? Right. Like, so nobody has actually taught. Like, if I had like a history or some sort of spiritual something, I would know. Like, I would be on it, and I know. I don't know how I know, but I know, like, I would probably be a force to be reckoned with, but I just don't know, like, if that makes sense. And
so do you still have any of those elders in your family to teach you?
My mother, but
they don't really want to talk about it.
My mother, but my grandmother passed, and it would be my mother, but I'm so rigid because I try to, I don't know.
She tries to intellectualize everything versus
just taking it.
Yeah.
That's why I need to surrender, because I try to make things make sense. Even that man that talks to me, like, I tell you, sometimes it's just like a loud voice, and it won't stop until I actually do what it says to do. You know what I mean? Like,
so do it first.
Yeah.
Do it immediately. whatever they say, do it immediately.
But
And then
sometimes it's
it'll stop.
just a little rigid, like stubborn, like because it
Submission.
might start off as
Right,
just
Dre,
gets loud,
submission.
like
Yeah.
and it's and he's very like, it's not like a demanding, very soft spoken but forceful, like
Right.
you know what I mean, like a man, like just.
I got one question.
If that makes sense.
This guide, has it ever forsaken you?
No.
Okay, so what's the problem?
What's the problem then?
I do it. I do. I do. Sometimes it just, some things, he might just say something like, you know, the other day I got, is he okay? Like, is who okay? Like, you know, but I had two people in mind because it just, they just pop in. Like, you just know who it is. Like, you just know sometimes. But
I knew you were a battery before we even got into all of this. I knew it. I saw it. And here we are. Yeah.
And I'm so stubborn.
Aren't we all at some point?
Yeah.
But, you know.
I need to just surrender and just try to figure it out. But yeah, I think that's the whole meat and potatoes of it. Nobody's actually, I didn't get like, and imagine my family background. I can tell you some stories looking back, hindsight.
Like I said earlier,
things that I've heard and seen, like
in the broadcast, like I said earlier, when you have a family that comes from this, if they don't pass it down to the kids formally, yeah, we are. If you don't pass it down when you come from a family of spiritual activity and come from a rich background of, you know, let's just say the occult, right? From a cultural perspective.
Right.
When your family does not pass that down to the children formally, they're protecting you from something. They themselves are afraid of something and they don't want to pass it down to the children. I can almost guarantee you something happened with your mom or in your family. They trying to shield you guys from.
Excuse me.
Am I wrong?
I'm more than likely you're not wrong.
That's true.
Because I remember you singing. Your mom instructed you to not
when I
really
first moved here.
Yeah, don't deal with Haitians. Stay away from them. These are your people.
And I was like, Ma, that's so prejudice.
It makes sense.
Like when I first moved here from New Jersey, my mother said, whatever you do not fool with the Haitians. And I'm like, but you're Haitian. Like, how do you say that? She's like, the Haitians, she said, the Haitians here and the Haitians where you're going are two different breeds.
So maybe she's trying to protect you from something.
I know that.
Well, working in
occurred.
Miami, I learned that
something has occurred in the
different
family.
Breeds,
yeah,
for sure. Them people are not to be played with.
So yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's I forgot we were live, but yeah.
Yep. But Matt, let's go ahead and who is that popping in here? Oh Lord, she done came back.
But you know what, man? It's almost
I had to.
What you say, Kim?
I said those things are better.
I had to.
Spiritual experiences. Like my mom used to always talk about how my sister used to sleepwalk. Okay. They used to have something set up in her room so that she wouldn't be able to leave out the room because she would sleepwalk. You know what I'm saying? What kids you know nowadays sleepwalking?
Right.
My daughter does that. She used to do that.
Right.
She used
so I mean, like, what is getting you up out of your sleep? Walk somewhere. Like, what?
Walk somewhere.
I would get up in the middle of the night and go downstairs, and he would just be standing in front of the TV, sleep, just looking at the TV. Off.
Really?
Yeah, for a couple years. Yeah, and it's crazy. Real quick, not to beat you on the head, but the house that I was living in was a family house, and then I didn't find out until recently that my great grandfather was sitting on the banister on the back porch. He fell off of that back porch and hit his head and died.
Wow.
And they kept there was a big picture of him in the house that I kept there, and I have his couple of his artifacts, like his Masonic sword and stuff that I kept because I felt a connection to the sword. But having those things, nobody ever explained to me that like my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, they all had weird experiences in that house. But not until my son started sleepwalking. This was, again, he's 26, so this was 20 something years ago. But when I started telling everybody that my son was sleepwalking in the house, they would look at each other like, and I'd be like, what? Like, what the fuck? What's the secret? But then they started telling me like, oh, when we were little, this used to happen. And we used to see this in the basement and this and this and this. Right. So yeah, it's crazy. The things that aren't revealed to us.
And it's those things that actually stunt our growth, because I think if I had a knowledge of certain things, I would be well advanced. I mean, things play out how they're supposed to, but it's just I think right now I just I'm trying to maybe control the narrative. I don't know what I'm trying to do.
Right.
I don't know what I'm trying to do. I know these things. There's some things I can't help. Mm-hmm. If I even take a nap, I hate taking naps because I feel like I'm not being productive, so I don't take naps. But there are some times where my whole body feels like I have to take a nap. And when I do, I wake up and I have some sort of something. The last one was for Curry, but I have some sort of something that's like waking me up to and it's like, oh my God, I got to call this person and tell them whatever have. And those are just naps. I don't take naps. But when I do, it's,
and not to cut her wisdom, but
sleepy.
The last time she did that with Curry, she had a message for Curry, and that shit was spot on. I tell you no lie.
Yeah. Was that the last one we was talking last time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why. You know what told me? It was because I woke up and I wasn't even sleeping really. I was just kind of like, I don't even know. But what woke me up I was sleeping then. What woke me up was a picture I put up on Instagram, and the same Curry that was in my vision or whatever it was, the phone woke me up from a comment from her, so I knew it was for her. Like,
damn,
wow.
It said Curry commented on your phone, and I was like, damn. So I knew I had to and I almost forgot, but when I said it, she was like, wow, that's funny. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. But I listen. I do listen. I just try to control the narrative, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to get out your own way. Let me go ahead and shut this live down, and then we can.
Oh my God, we're on live again.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting.
So yeah, I guess I should go ahead and say I am your brother Mordeeb. Yes. This is another Brainwashed on Heavy show. I enjoyed the show, man. It was very intriguing and in depth and rich, and that's what I was looking for. And I knew you guys would deliver, as well as, like I said, there's certain shows I will not do unless the cast is right. And keep in mind, it's been a minute since we actually did this, and I was like, I'm gonna wait until everything aligns, and then I'll move forward. And if it don't align, then I'll just wait. But everything came together, and we pulled it off again. So it seems like people are asking for another. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm gonna go ahead and roll the outro, and we can chat for a sec behind the
okay.
I gotta go get some old drink real quick, y'all.
All right. I'm gonna see y'all on the side. All right, peace.
All right.